why are you wearing Paul Peterson's badge? They would say. And I would say, well, I forgot my badge, and Paul got a sandwich. And they would be like, okay. I hear my
Chris
voice.
Seslick.
Greetings.
From Asmati?
That's weirdly. No?
He told me he couldn't do today.
Yeah.
Paul, use your microphone.
I am here. How are you?
Okay.
If you're on the, but yeah, he's gonna
No.
tomorrow after the
We just wanted to know it for something we were going to say. It's no big deal. Yeah.
We're going to be announcing the winners of the Origins Awards.
Oh, that's excellent.
Oh, because since we are hosts, we must therefore know.
Well,
It's okay. We'll read it off of the web and then put it back into the web.
That's right.
I'm not going to say I cast a lot of the votes.
Sure. I mean, the other thing you could imagine is that it'll be on the Wikipedia page, so we could just edit it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it's true. There was. Did you ever read Pogo?
Did you ever read Pogo?
I love Pogo. It's from the 1950s.
Indeed.
And one of the plot lines was or every 4 years, one of the characters would run for president, and his platform one time was vote early, vote often.
Are we broadcasting?
I believe we are not
I
broadcasting.
just heard a feedback.
Boom. Boom.
Is this today's? It looks the same as yesterday's.
It does look the same as
No, it's
yesterday's.
not today's. Trevor, have you put this on social yet?
How social is Trevor?
Let's find out. There you go. Oh, it's totally on board. Right there. Right there.
Hello. Hello.
Ah.
Oh, the lobster dog is. You
That's
should totally-
apparently that's trending right now.
Lobster dog.
Not trending.
Lobster dog.
Trevor? Hey, Trevor?
Trevor.
Did you put anything on the Origins Facebook page? You know, you just did it on Twitter. You don't
I
have
haven't
the
done their
Facebook.
Twitter stuff, but
You
they're
don't.
supposed to be doing their
You don't
Facebook
have their. Yeah.
stuff.
Okay.
I can, but I haven't done any of their Facebook stuff. I did our Facebook stuff and our Twitter stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Great. That's fine. Put it on our Facebook page, but don't worry about Origins.
Say it again.
Put it on our Facebook page, but don't worry about Origins.
Okay. What about Twitter?
Definitely use both of them for Twitter.
Yeah, but Origins Twitter also don't worry about Origins Twitter today.
Yeah, we should do Origins Twitter.
Okay, so
I don't. I haven't seen Dominic at all.
So big Origins Twitter and our Twitter
Yeah.
during the show.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay.
All right. What are we doing,
I
guys?
think we're good. We're swapping batteries.
I'm currently
Batteries.
swapping my battery out.
Whenever I do a podcast and I have a portable recorder, they always swap the batteries just before they start.
No.
Oh.
Here we are.
Now we are.
There we go.
There we are.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Origins by Night Lone Shark Live. We're back again in full video and audio.
Day 2.
Proving once again that we have radio faces.
Radio faces. I want to
I'm James Ernest.
And I'm Paul Peterson.
and I'm Mike Selinker,
There you go.
and I want to say a couple things about where we are. We're at Origins Game Fair, the Hyatt Regency, the big bar on 2, the social hub of the convention.
It really is, yeah.
Yeah, and we're here as always with our friends from WCBE, Dan Michalko, Catherine Brunella, Allison Holm, and Heather Anderson are doing our audio and our video and making us look and sound very good. We like that. We got our guy Trevor, who's handling he's a bouncer. Basically, he's stopping people from becoming our guests,
He's a bouncer.
which is very nice. I very much appreciated that. And of course, always the Gamma folks who let us be here and don't chase us out with brooms, which is nice.
Not
least
till
not-
midnight.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. That's right. You stop talking. I want to say one thing before we get started. This episode of Origins by Night is dedicated to someone special, former guest of the show and good friend of the podcast, Chloe Dykstra. I know good things for you coming up, so thanks for listening in, Chloe, and we love you very much. So, hey, we're here. Did you enjoy your day?
I very much did.
I had ice cream.
You did, Jenny's?
Yes.
I did have Jenny's ice
He
cream.
was so excited.
I can't have dairy products. Well, I steer away from them anyway. I'm sometimes cowed into trying them. But yeah, they make now a dairy-free, like rich dark chocolate ice cream that's coconut based. It's so good.
Yeah, yeah.
I had all
saw
the
that.
dairy.
Yeah, no, that's how you do. I also had Jenny's ice cream, but yesterday. I have had none today.
You're behind.
I am. I'm not keeping up, which is a mistake.
You need to go get one of the amazing donuts they have over there and
They have
put the
donuts?
ice cream on top. Not Jenny's.
Oh, Jenny's doesn't have
There
the
is
donuts.
there's
I
a
see.
bespoke donut shop
Oh,
there.
Bespoke donuts.
I do like bespoke.
You can
donuts.
order custom shapes.
Yes.
Wait,
well,
is it donut with spokes?
if you want?
That's called a wheel.
Okay. It's sweet and has lots of frosting on it.
I
so-
like it. I'm involved.
Sweet wheel.
Sweet wheel.
Sweet wheel. That sounds great.
Sweet wheels, man.
Let's see, what else did we do today? We played some games. I saw that.
Yes.
You and I played The Mind.
The mind. That's-
I can
They
barely.
can't all be winners, folks.
no,
no.
this game is amazing. I
Really?
love it.
Good.
Yeah.
That's not what. Well, okay.
No, it's
I'll
both,
say someone else described this
No.
game to me.
It's both good and ridiculous.
I thought it was just.
Would
good.
you like to explain how this game is played?
It's very simple.
Yeah.
There's a deck of cards from 1 to 100, and one of you're trying to play in rounds basically. In the first round, everybody gets one card, and then everybody only knows their own card, can't talk, and you have to try to play the cards in order, from lowest to highest amongst the cards that the however many players have, and I think it's amazing to try to guess based on how long other people have been waiting and looking at each other, whether your card is currently the lowest one. And as ridiculous as
It's like that
sounds-
logic puzzle about the 100 people on the island who can't see themselves or
Yes.
whatever.
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's
Except with no moments of
Yeah,
evidence.
it's the dragon puzzle. It's totally,
Right.
it's totally the dragon puzzle. But it's, I mean, it's like, it's a festival of tells, right?
But you're not supposed to communicate.
But you're not supposed to communicate.
Right.
So it's like a festival of
it's walking
tells
that
you don't
narrow
wanna
edge
have.
between what I do involuntarily
Yeah.
and what I don't.
It's a festival of tells you don't want to have. Yeah, it's
I really
It's
enjoyed
entertainment
it.
for people who don't like poker. I
no,
think.
it's very. I mean, I think all the skills you have in poker are damaging to your enjoyment in this game. But
That's my prediction also.
but it was very entertaining.
Yeah,
I can't write a game. I can't rate a game without playing it.
Right.
So I can't say whether the game is good or bad, but I can say that the description of it is pretty bad.
Well, that's just me. That's just me.
It seems like I would just count to 100 and play my card on that second, right?
I actually was thinking that would be an interesting thing to do.
Why doesn't everyone just do that?
Because everybody is looking at everybody else and wondering whether they should play their card, and
I
people
can
don't all
count to
at the
100
same
while I
speed.
do that. You remember last week
Yeah,
at game night,
yes, exactly.
I got there late, so I was just
Oh,
counting
yeah.
off your timer for you.
Right.
And seeing how close I was
Yeah,
to
you were
entertain
really close.
myself.
You have a great internal clock.
It's a curse.
It is, but you know what? It's your curse, not mine. Thankfully.
Anyways,
Okay,
I
well-
really enjoyed the game, and I think that from the description, you won't get the experience that you will when you're actually sitting there looking at your cards, trying to figure
Well,
out.
let's
what to
haul
play.
it out.
Yeah.
Well, we will.
No.
So
we're not
I
gonna play that
promised last night I would bring s'mores, and then I forgot.
What?
Oh,
Oh,
no.
we
We're
were
gonna
so
have to.
looking
I know.
forward to
We're
it.
gonna have to do
One
that
more-
tomorrow,
one more
I
night.
guess.
Okay, fine. What else do we do? You said you played something else. You played.
Well, we'll talk to the person that designed it later. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
he's not on until tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow. That's what I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right.
wait for that.
Well, we have been joined by our first guest.
Yay!
It's Nerd Night's J.R. Honeycutt.
Hello, I'm back a year later.
Welcome,
yes.
nerd.
Well, we're also back a year later.
We're all back a year later.
That's right.
It's like we never left.
It is, unfortunately.
I swear to you, I sat here in stasis.
Yes.
Rolled me away and I waited.
That's pretty much it. They
Indeed.
just pack us away,
I
take us
know-
out for 3
I
days.
saw
a
you
year.
blink a few times. Is that a problem
Yeah.
with your programming?
Yeah, just Catalyst puts me in a box and they write Origins on me and that's it.
Nice. Let's talk about. You got a couple of facets to your life. I'd like to talk about individually. So let's,
Sure.
Let's talk first about Nerd Night.
Sure, yeah. Well, if you guys are regular listeners to
Regular
90.5
lis-
WCBE, the whatever the cube.
The cube. No, that's Monty. That's from Monty Cook Games.
Yes, the 30-pound cube.
Last year we talked about Nerd Night, and I think probably the year before that too. We run free board game parties for people who want to come and play games at events. We don't have one at Origins this year. Unfortunately, we couldn't put it all together before the show was here, but we do have one at Gen Con again for benefit of Gen Con's charity, the Jack Vassell Foundation, which of course is run by Tom Vassell.
Yep.
And it's the same Thursday night that it always is at the train station, and everyone's going to like it. I should clarify, the train station that is now a ballroom. It used to be a train station.
Did they increase the lighting in there?
We have to pay
I know.
a not small amount of money to have a small amount of light added to that room.
Yeah.
The money to light ratio is a bad deal for
Should
us.
just go
Money
to
to light
a lamp. You
ratio.
should just go to a lamp store and put one on every table, and it would like improve the thing.
You know, I asked them if I could do that, and they said they'd charge me like $2,000 for electricity.
Oh my God.
It's like, all right, well, you know, it's like a monopoly on photons.
Right. It's got to be done by a union worker,
Exactly.
and that costs. Yeah.
Exactly.
How
But
about
no, it's
fire?
good. What's that?
You could just bring some fire.
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring some fireballs.
You
There
could
you
light everything with
Fire.
candles,
Actual, yeah.
torches.
Candles would work. It's actually not a terrible idea.
You could
We'll just bring
actually,
candles.
if they don't want to, if they want to charge you to plug into power, you could just bring battery operated lamps too.
It's pretty
Oh
good.
yeah.
It's like we're camping.
Yeah, exactly.
It
Some of those
suddenly became
lanterns.
like Nerd Night on Haunted Hill.
That's
like
fine.
I mean, that seems like I'm not sure we wanted to
Haunted
be there.
nerd
That's
night.
fine. It's just like a themed event. It's
Right,
perfect.
yeah. You just come along, and some of you make it out. The rest of you will have will be a contribution to charity.
That's right. 3/4 of you are going to win this game, and 1/4 of you will have a terrible experience.
Indeed.
Yeah, so it'll
Oh,
be
I
a Gen
wish I
Con,
could
it's
get
great.
numbers like that.
Yeah, that seems like a win.
Publish that game immediately.
Do you have a Nerd Night event here? I don't know that.
Nothing this year.
Okay.
Tried to pull it together. My life's been crazy. A lot of games and stuff this
Really?
year.
Yep.
So,
Well, we're
yeah.
gonna get to that for sure.
Yeah, and we just couldn't. I tried to talk to everybody, couldn't pull it together.
All right.
But hopefully this is the last Origins that doesn't happen, because everybody came and asked about it, and that's
Yeah.
a good sign that we
Yeah.
should do it again. So
Got a Gen Con event coming up?
yeah, it'll be Thursday night, Crown Station, Crown Plaza, Union Station.
That's right.
Giant ballroom. It'll be big. So everyone should come. It's free.
We'll be there. We'll be
win,
there.
Win free games.
Yeah, even if you don't come, it's still free.
Yeah.
Oh, it's free to not go.
It's not. It's
Oh,
non.
that's gonna be a
That's
tough
also
choice.
free.
It's unconditional.
Yeah.
Unconditional freedom.
No, it's $1 to not go. If you go to Gen Con
okay,
and don't
all
go to
right.
Nerd
You guys
Night,
remember Unconditional Freedom? That was pretty great.
No, actually, I've forgotten it completely.
Okay, good. But you mentioned that you've been busy with game design because you're a game designer.
I happen to be a game designer.
Because
I'm
you're a
just
game designer.
crawling along,
Yeah.
trying to make it. It's been a crazy year.
Has Rob Davio let you out of the box lately?
no, he like sent him around the whole country. Lately.
I saw you. Okay,
Yeah.
we haven't talked about this. I think it's worth discussing. So, Fireball Island,
Yep.
a game that we all fondly remember because it has an island with fireballs on
Correct.
it.
Yeah.
I am on record as saying that it is the game with the single best components of all time.
All right.
So now,
What are those components? Flamingos, right?
yeah, flamingos. Yeah. So that's Flamingo Ball Island.
Right.
So, but now, a little company called Restoration Games.
Well, we
comes
used to be a
out-
little company.
Yeah, right, exactly. Our friend Rob Davio
Yep.
is a key participant,
Yeah. Rob is the chief restoration officer,
the CRO.
the CRO, as
the
you
Crow.
are. That's right. And
the Crow. He's
Justin Jacobson is the owner of
Yep.
the company, the
Yep.
president,
Yep.
and they're great. Have you guys had Sue Sheldon on? Have you guys talked to
No.
Sue yet?
Not yet. Not
Well,
this,
Sue,
not
Sue
this.
is co-host of Dice Tower.
Yes.
Right.
Is our master of fireworks. So we all get to make up our own titles.
Excellent. Yeah. No, we love Suzanne. She's
Yeah,
fantastic.
she's great.
She interviewed us anyway. Here's the point. I've said that it is the game with the best components of all time. I can
Sure.
take that rating away.
And give it to us.
Well, let's find out. Because
Okay.
you're doing what?
We are bringing Fireball Island back. It is. You guys know how hard it is to make games.
Yes?
Nope.
Just,
N-
just
nope.
add a dimension to that. Just like tip it on its side and stretch it again. This game was impossible. It was a lot of fun. It took us a year to get the IP, another year to get the trays made, and all the stuff to go with it. But we're very happy with what we have. It's just you can thank Mike Gray for giving us the idea to like stack 3 trays, that come up very tall. The whole thing's like 11 inches tall. But then they telescope back so it fits into a 4-inch box, which is really nice.
Wow.
Mike Gray, brilliant. Very
He's
smart guy.
done some trays.
He has.
He's done some trays.
He's
He's
been
known
around a
for
game
it.
or two.
Yeah.
And it's still Volcar the demon, but now he's bigger. He's got 3 mouths instead of 1. He turns around, he shoots fireballs at you and stuff. There's ember fireballs. There's bees. There's a boulder. There's a pirate ship that has cool tokens on it, and also a crow's nest that falls over. A steering wheel that inexplicably points the wrong way. There's a tiger. Did I say tiger?
He did it.
There's snakes. There's a golden idol. It's made out of snakes.
Wow.
It is also a snake made from snakes.
I mentioned there were some bees.
There are bees, yeah. One of the things you can do is release bees. You take just a literal beehive cup full of 10 bee marbles and pour them through the top of Volcar's head, and they go everywhere. And if it knocks you over, then bad stuff happens to you. And if one of them's touching you, you get a bee sting, because that's how bees work.
That is how bees work.
Yeah. And then bad things happen to you. So it's
All
one of
right.
many cascading terrible things that can happen on the island. We took it, we made it bigger, improved the gameplay a ton. It's no longer a roll and move. It's now card-driven actions. We modernized it a lot, and people seem to like it. Which
That's
is nice.
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we are looking forward to that, as you might guess.
Yeah, it's in my room right now. It's pretty
Oh,
cool.
I haven't actually seen
Oh,
it.
yeah. So what room was that?
Let's go.
Let's
Let's go
talk
play.
after this. Let's,
We no why? Let's go now.
Yeah.
Hi at 11:09, everybody. Come have a party.
All right, after party JRs.
I really hope I guessed one of your room numbers correctly.
Well, 7 people are going to be finding out.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's great. So you have been trucking this around the country, if
Yep.
I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we
maybe.
did it.
Sorry, not just one country, right?
That's actually we made it to 2 countries.
Yes.
This is family friendly, right?
Yes.
Great.
Was.
Reminding myself that I'm in the Midwest. All right. Canada and the U.S. We drove it around. I did 6,400 miles in 29 days.
Wow.
Hit up about 40 game stores, convention stops, demoed the game everywhere. We ended up doing, I wrote the number down. Actually, approximately 190 games demoed, 6,400 miles driven, and 115 Dr. Peppers drank by me over the course of 20 days.
No, you can do those at 10, 2, and 4.
No. And also, but there's 2 10s, 2s, and 4s in a day. Right?
No one ever clarified that.
Yeah, it's supposed to be 10 in the morning and 2 and 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
but
but no.
just keep drinking.
You know
I'm
that.
saying, I'm still here. I'm still here. And actually, 115 in 29 days is a little less than my usual consumption.
You know,
You were
drinking-
busy driving.
It's
hard
just
to
difficult to
drink.
double fist Dr. Pepper and try the car.
You know, that much malted battery acid is probably going to remove your stomach lining.
Yeah, but it tastes like cherry.
That sounds good. Yeah.
It's real nice.
Prunes, actually, prunes.
Yeah, we drove. No. It's a spicy cherry drink.
It
Oh, is
tastes
It's
like
classified as a spicy cherry drink.
it
Is
tastes
it?
like Doctor.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
You know, I licked my doctor once. It didn't taste like.
You have the wrong doctor.
Damn.
You're not a pepper.
I'm not. Wouldn't you like to be one though?
I would like to be a pepper.
Yeah.
Oh wait, I am.
I'm glad it doesn't taste like pepper. Who even thought of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Geez.
Somebody in Waco in 1888.
Wow, that's incredibly precise.
I didn't know that Texas existed in 1888. I thought it came in the 60s. All right, so drove around. It was great. We raised a bunch of money on Kickstarter, which was nice.
Yeah.
But more than that, the really interesting part of this, and I'll talk to you guys about, because you guys make games.
Yeah.
Very good games, and for a long time.
Thank you.
is-
We can be easily patronized.
Yeah. The unexpected, well, the expected, and then over expectation for how much doing 190 playtests of a family game in 29 days improves the quality of that game with effectively 40 different playgroups with all the different places and all the different things. The game, I mean, we thought it was good when we kickstarted it. That's why we kickstarted it. But when it was done, man, like, wow. Like the first weekend we were at PAX East and we played the game, and the first time that I had to teach it, I realized that it took me 3 minutes to teach, and I was like, well, this has to go. And I literally just took out any rule that was more than like 12 words. I was like, no, just gone. Right? You have to stop. Nope, never stop. Done. Easy. Play card, never stop, move, pick stuff up. Okay, you're good. Oh, shoot a fireball, knock someone over, steal their stuff, next turn. That's the whole game, right? Which is what fireballing should be, right?
Absolutely.
You do stuff, run around, get stuff, get knocked over, lose your stuff, punch your friends. That's it.
I approve.
Yeah.
Other games that you've been working on?
A bunch. One you're interested in, Betrayal Legacy,
I
coming
know.
out in November, I think.
You know what's great about Betrayal Legacy is that literally
It's done.
No,
The project's over.
I swear to God, this is true. Everybody comes up and compliments me on it. I swear, it's happened. It's happened 3 times this convention. It happened a bunch. It's like they keep coming up and saying, "Great! I can't wait for this. It's going to be great. You're doing a wonderful job." And I never correct them.
So-
there is no reason for me to take away their happiness that they have thanked the creator.
Don't yuck on
I
their
mean,
yum.
take it.
Oh, yeah.
If N is the number of people who congratulated you,
Yeah.
the number of people who congratulated me is N minus N.
Okay.
So
Well,
it's
think
fine.
of them as transitive.
No, that's fine. I accept that. You just to text me and tell me what they say. I'm sure it's great.
Yeah, they think you're a wonderful man, Mike.
You know what'll happen is if it comes out, it gets a 6 rating on BGG. I'll go tell people
Yes.
that you were responsible for it.
Indeed. Yeah. They asked me if I wanted to work on the previous one, which was Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, and I said no. And they were like, "What are you talking about? You've been like the through line of Betrayal at House on the Hill." I was like, "No, I have never been surprised about anything that has ever happened in a Betrayal at House on the Hill game." There's
Oh,
never
yeah,
been
that's
any
real.
moment.
Ouroboros, got it.
Honestly,
Yeah,
that's real.
yeah.
Yeah, there's never been any moment where I have gone, "Wow, oh my God, this is a very surprising thing."
Right.
So I was like, "No, I'm playing it all the way through."
Oh my
Still-
God, a tile moved somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's an elevator.
I rolled a 9.
Yeah, so I still haven't opened my copy,
Oh.
so I've kind of not paid that.
okay.
Paid that off.
You do that a lot. When what was the role playing game that you were like, this is coming out and I'm running it. Everybody get ready, strap in. We're gonna and it came
D&D
out.
first edition.
No, yeah, maybe.
No, what was it?
What was it? I don't remember what it was.
Yes, there was a thing.
But yeah, you were just sworn up and down like this was the
Yeah.
RPG for you and you were gonna run it and
Yep,
then,
never happened.
Never happened.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Still, part of the core experience of gaming is getting something and feeling really good about it, and then putting it away.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like, you always will have that.
That's
Oh,
right.
yes.
Even if you never bring it back out again.
That's
right?
true.
And
That's
if you
true.
just get that 500 times a year,
Yeah.
that's like enjoying a game 10 times a year.
Yeah.
The shrink wrap is my proudest collection.
Oh,
Yeah,
You
yeah.
just
All
keep the
those
shrink wrap?
games I never opened.
I have
good.
I have a million Fantasy Flight proof of purchases, and I'm still waiting for my free hat.
No hat.
No
you
hat.
have no hat.
No
Get your
hat.
Calvin and Hobbes and get my little beanie with
No
it.
hat.
I like it. I like it. I like it. But yeah, Betrayal Legacy coming out. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, worked real hard on that one. Obviously, more stuff from Restoration coming out. The Downforce expansion comes out next month. Dinosaur Tea Party gets released at Gen Con. It's a real good game.
Dinosaur Tea Party wasn't originally called Dinosaur Tea Party when it first came out.
Yeah, it was called Who's It in
Who's it?
1978.
And I'm gonna
Oh,
say this
yeah,
as
okay.
delicately as I can. It may have been a little racist.
I'm glad that you said that to provide cover for me saying
That's
this.
right.
It definitely was racist.
It was a little racist. I mean, it
It was a
like,
product of the 70s.
Yeah, and so
You could just call it that.
right,
Product of the
of the
70s.
70s. So I was like, so Rob told me he was adapting it, and I did one of these. I did a
Was it a what you talking about, Willis?
yeah, a little that's a little racist. So
Exactly. It's a
and
product
so-
of its time.
It's a product of the 70s.
So, but he said, no, wait. I'm calling it Dinosaur Tea Party, and
That's
I'm
right.
like, okay, that's
It's
not
honestly
racist at all.
amazing. Like, the art is incredible for the game. We took the gameplay and, I mean, like, Who's It wasn't a complicated game. We took away the board. simplified the question-asking system, took the cards away from it, and then just put it on a big board and made it, you have to guess more than once correctly to win the game. It's nice and simple. It's a family game.
I
we're
need
proud
to
of it,
branch out
so.
into this racket of improving other people's games because I've just been wasting all that effort on my own.
I'm telling you, man, you don't get any credit or any money.
No.
Oh, I'll take the money.
But
Wait, you said no money?
No.
you don't get any money and no
yeah,
credit.
never
but
mind.
I always forget the but. There's a but there.
Right in there. Well,
Something about it is great. I just have to remember. Oh, the company is fantastic.
Oh, sure, hanging out with Rob.
Yeah.
I got to see him last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were in
Tabletop.
Salt Lake City. That's right.
I was supposed to be there, but it's a very long way away from my home.
Well, that's no excuse.
And after traveling a very, very long way from your home
you
for
could just
months
drive
on end.
6,400 miles.
That would have gotten me there 3 times.
Yeah.
I would have done that, but
It
I'd
would have
already
been
driven
nice if you were there
6,400
3
miles.
times.
Yeah.
You could have gone to both seminars and also done some playtesting.
You and I were both there in our hearts.
Yeah, I like to think so.
Yeah.
I really wanted to be. It seemed like a really neat event. And it was
Well,
nice to hear everyone
it was
complain
the- it
about
was-
walking at elevation.
It was the first year of Tabletop Network, and they had a pretty good cadre of 70 or so game design people,
Okay.
and it'll be bigger next year, and you should all go.
Okay.
All right.
Sure.
Okay.
I do like Salt Lake City. It's one of my favorite places.
Really?
Yeah, I've been there a couple
It's a
times.
nice face.
Yeah.
Really?
No, I like it. It's great.
I just, it's just like a state that's just shaped like somebody just took some lines on a craft paper.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Drew an L.
They drew it out. No, look, there's a long history of how that L got driven. But, all right, we got to kick you off our show. You're the wonderful man. We'd like to have you here all day, but we're going to anyway.
I mean, I'll stay all day. Is that a thing?
No,
I gotta go?
no,
I gotta go.
no,
I'm getting
no.
hooked. I'm sorry, guys.
But J.R. Honeycutt from Nerd Night,
Yep.
very happy to have you here. Restoration Games.
Thank you, guys. Can I plug myself real
Yeah.
fast?
Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
please.
RestorationGames.com for
Yes.
all that's happening in restorations. If you're listening to this, someone's listening.
Yes.
Great.
7
Someone.
people?
They will be, we
Those-
assume.
Those 6 people are listening right now.
This is also being beamed into space. So.
That's
Excellent.
Yeah.
For those of you who catch this 1,000 light years in the future,
Yeah.
you can recommend games to us on our website. It'd be great. Also, check out my website, waitressgames.net. I do consulting, development, and design work and stuff, and Kickstarter consulting and all that. So if you're a designer and you care, that's where you can find me. Also, I'm JR. Just type JR into the internet, you'll find me.
J-A-Y-A-H-R-E.
You remember that better than my brothers do. So thank you for that.
I'd like to think I'm better than your brothers in many ways.
At remembering things, absolutely. And at making puzzles, at sitting up straight, at staying out of jail. Like, you're doing great.
Well, I do like it when my people sit up straight.
That's right. Also, great at staying
I
out
wish
of jail.
my people would do that.
Oh, no.
Hey, everybody, we're still on the air.
Welcome to the Midwest, guys.
JR,
Okay,
thank you much.
goodbye.
Thank you, man. Politics. We don't do politics humor on this show.
Of course not.
Yes.
We would never do that.
No.
We would never do that.
Never, ever, ever.
No.
So
Never have I
I
ever.
I forgot my badge today.
Yes?
Yes.
I went to lunch with Paul straight out of waking up, and then I wound up in the exhibit hall with Paul's badge.
Yes.
Okay.
And when someone asked me, why are you wearing Paul's badge, I said, well, I forgot my badge, and Paul got a sandwich.
That
And-
seems so obvious.
And the rest is obvious.
The
Yeah.
rest is obvious.
Clearly, he got a sandwich, which means he had leftover food
Yes,
to
yep.
take back to the room
Right.
and put in the fridge,
Yep.
and while doing so, offered to pick up my badge and lent me his while he
That's
did
right.
it.
Yes. I'm not even sure why you had to go into that much
So if
detail.
you
Seems very
ran into a
surprising.
Just killing
rude,
time.
mean Paul Peterson today, it was me.
Or it was me after I got back from putting my sandwich away.
It's a good thing you didn't have the whole. It was an angry sandwich.
Yeah.
It was. It
Yep.
was delicious, actually.
Yeah, I remember getting the text of like, hey, can I get this badge? Well, I'm currently at my booth. So you can come here, get my room key.
That was a different one. That was for Bo.
Oh, right.
That was
Right.
for Bo.
Do
Yes.
you actually have duplicate badges for us?
Yes.
Not
Well,
anymore.
Not anymore. You found a good home for them.
No, they're
No,
yours.
I have them.
Oh, you have them.
Well, Bo has one of them.
You had all of my. All the
We
extra
should
badges.
probably suggest that Origins has a completely impenetrable badge system that cannot be duplicated
It's not
in
as
any way.
easy as you think to walk into the show office and demand a badge and just get one.
Yeah, we
No,
should
oh,
not suggest that
don't
that
do
is a
that
thing.
ever.
We are so fired.
So there's no way of knowing why I have a duplicate badge,
so fired.
but I sure do.
Hey, let's switch gears away from us being fired.
Well, it was a great show, guys.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
really enjoyed
Oh, wait,
it.
they're being
Yeah.
pulled the plug
Oh,
right now.
Oh, no.
Just in time.
So our new guests have arrived. Please introduce yourselves and tell us what you are here for.
I'm here for the booze.
Yes, right call.
Success.
My name is Alice, and I'm a freelance game designer. I have a couple games out.
You
with
do.
Some cool people, I guess. Daily Magic Games, I have a game coming out called Thieves' Den. Matthew and I co-designed a game called Kitten Clash that's already out in distribution. And I have another game called Build-A-Saurus coming out this year as well.
Build-A-Saurus.
Yes, we had you guys coming on the show last year talking to us about Kitten Clash.
Yes.
Which was super fun. Great having you. We ended up with copies. Here's a tip to guests. If you want to be remembered, you can always drop
Bring us
off
copies.
copies.
That's right.
That's why we're going to be lugging 3 giant black cubes home tomorrow.
So the important thing to understand about that was they had to buy an IKEA table, right? An IKEA shelving unit to go with it. And they said, we bought the one that fit in the car. But I know the cubes were out of the car at the point at which they bought the shelving unit. So I think I now own a shelving unit.
Oh, for sure.
Pretty sure. So anyway, apologies for the diversion.
That's fine.
No, that's fine.
Let's talk about Thieves' Den.
Thieves' Den is my newest, and it was picked up by Daily Magic Games last year, 1 month after I made it. Humble brag.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, humble brag.
That is basically what happens to us if you had about 2 years.
So I thought that was normal, though. I didn't know that people didn't get 3 games signed in a year.
No.
Yeah, it's not normal.
Really not a thing.
So it is a 2 to 5 player worker placement resource management drafting game. We are playing Thieves Masters, and you're sending thieves out to different drafted locations to steal goods. And you're going to take these goods and sell them to fences and for victory points. And you can go to the Wizard's Tower and do special abilities. Takes place over 3 rounds. I call it my gateway to gaming just because it has a little bit of each mechanic. So if I have a new person coming in and they're like, I've played Monopoly, or sorry, I can be like, well, let's try these mechanics out, and I like the drafting part of it. Okay, let's play 7 Wonders now. Okay, well, let's play Belfort now since you like the worker placement. But it's got a little bit of everything. It's like intro to gaming, gateway game for everybody.
So basically, you stole a lot of things.
They're mechanics. You
can't
cannot copyright a
copyright
mechanic.
those. That's a good point. So it's not Thieves' Den. It's Borrower's
It's
Den.
borrowed.
Yeah.
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 And how about
fine.
you, Matt?
What's up with
What
you,
are you
Matt?
up
My name is Matt Jacobs.
You are.
I co-designed Kitten Clash. I am the lead developer on Thieves' Den and the lead developer on Build-A-Saurus as well. I also have some designs that I'm here testing, 2 different properties that I'm working on, and hopefully some meetings this weekend will go well with them.
Nice.
If you haven't signed a game in a month, you should just give up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
honestly,
Yeah, I know.
you should have 3
Yeah.
a year usually.
Oh,
So they
at
told me-
least.
Yeah, 3 a year,
3
or
a
else
year.
set yourself
If
on
you're a
fire.
beginner,
That's
3
pretty
years
much-
right
3
there.
years.
I would go.
That's a good first year.
I would
guess.
hold out for 3 a
I
month.
guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, if you're actually spending any time writing games, you're wasting your time. You should just be signing them.
Yeah,
Also,
really.
just borrowing mechanics from other games is fine.
Just
Yeah, it is
really
so
the way to
totally
go.
Absolutely.
fine.
Yeah, it's really the way to work.
Especially if your game is about thieves.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yep. I'm glad we established that for the listeners.
Sure. Yeah.
We
So-
do have we have another game in the Kitten Clash world that we're working on right now.
What's it called? What's it called?
It's called Kitten Clash: The Purrit's Booty.
Wow,
there-
that landed. That landed
Does
solid.
the typeface
Yeah.
you've chosen really convey that pronunciation?
Yeah, well, we hope so. That's really on the
I
publisher.
don't know what it's gonna be
I don't
called.
know.
All right.
It's a
Yeah.
one-deck trick-taking game, just like Kitten Clash. If you have 2 decks, you can play with 4 players. In this game, if you have 2 decks, you can play up to 4 players. 3 decks, you can play up to 6. And it's a trick-taking game where your trump it's a shifting trump mechanic that Matthew came up with, and we're like, what are we gonna do with this thing? Well,
I actually
Try it
had it in
out.
2 different games prior to the one we're working
It's
on.
not working.
That's
I
how
couldn't
it
make
works.
those games work.
No, that's how it
we
works.
just
It's hard to
threw
make a
away-
Trump game work.
Yeah. Also, I'm not Alice, so it didn't just magically fall out of the sky on top of me. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
we have a good friend, Brandon Neal, and he has a YouTube channel, and he always goes, oh, look, there's 97 Game Alice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good job, baby.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
So what do you say there, 15 game Mike?
Yeah.
So what he's referring to is that James and I and Reiner Knizia were on a panel together, right? And so I looked down the table and I realized, wow, there's 555 games represented here. I've done 15. James has done 40. Reiner's done 400.
That's been a
Right.
while.
Yeah, that was a while back. But yes.
My number's up to 45 now.
Yeah. My number's
month.
a little
Hashtag
higher
nice
too.
goals.
But still nowhere near Reiner.
Well, if he would only show up, we'd be closer.
Indeed,
That's true.
indeed. We need more Reiner in our lives. So, all right, well, that sounds like a pretty hefty group of games.
Yeah. So Thieves Den Kickstarter, August, September. Build-A-Saurus Kickstarter, September, October.
That sounds cool.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys have many fun days ahead of you.
Yeah, we're very proud of the work we do
Yeah.
because we work very hard on this stuff. I think the reason we can go through it so quickly is because we happen to live together. And in many game situations, the developer and the designer do not often live together. So,
not as
The
often
only
as you'd like.
reason this group gets along.
yeah.
But
but
We
I
only
guess
room together.
that's our secret. If I had to tell a secret.
It's a good secret.
Yeah.
It's a good secret.
And now
Well,
it's out. So
Yep.
All
everybody marry a developer.
No. No, all the good ones are taken.
Thank you, Mike.
And I mean that in a Liam Neeson sense.
Taken.
All right, I didn't get Liam Neeson out very well.
No,
that's
okay.
more of a tongue twister than I thought.
Liam Neeson leases Nissans. That's
Nice.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
the
wow.
tongue
Very
twister last.
nice. Very nice.
I'm still parsing that. I'm not sure how
Yeah,
you said it
Liam
out
Neeson.
loud.
Lisa's Neeson. That's good.
Yeah,
All
that's
right.
going to be a game right after we make Reiner Knizia eats a pizza.
Right, I need to eat the pizza. All right, Alice, Matt, thank you for coming. People look out for Thieves Den, more from Kitten Clash, and Build-A-Saurus real soon.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for being on.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
Yeah, Will Hindmarch turned me onto that. Liam Neeson. I can't even say
Liam
it.
Neeson.
Liam Neeson leases
Leases
Nissans.
Nissans.
Yeah, and we were adding to that, if you can believe it. There was somebody named Lisa, and
To Lisa. Lisa's Nissan.
but yeah, Reiner Knizia Eats a Pizza has been an Origins
Yeah.
game I want to make for like 15 years now.
Yeah,
You know,
when does that come
there's a
out?
blue cube representing a pizza, and then you bid on all sides of it for the chance to take a slice.
Yeah.
And then you eat it.
And then
you get victory points in some unrelated pizza-ish way.
Then you license it to 4 publishers.
Yeah, 4 different names.
And 4 different names.
Yeah, of course.
One's a horse racing
Liam
game.
Neeson eats a pizza. Reiner Knizia leases Nissans. There's
pretty
4
good.
total games there.
Total game. They actually interconnect.
And it just depends
yeah,
on
with
whether the
two-
cube is blue
with,
or
with
red.
2 copies, you could actually play with 2 people.
Oh, wow. Each person needs their own copy.
Well, I mean, the narrative of the game is it is simply Liam Neeson leasing Nissans.
Yeah.
You don't need anyone else in the room.
no, it's
Right.
just you want to keep track of your own Nissans.
Oh, these are the best games that are ever going to come out.
Indeed, indeed. So I need to when we get to our next guest, I need to point out what is on my call sheet. While they put headphones on their behatted heads, I have listed here, I swear to God, John Wick and Insane Andre.
Insane Andre?
Insane Andre is what it,
Insane Andre, right?
yeah. Let's try that as
Insane Andre.
There you
Ken
go.
Saint Andre.
That sounds better.
That sounds better.
Like the St. Lawrence River.
Indeed, you flow on. May I point out, by the way, that we are on video. People can see us. So if that's not how you want to look, you should probably decide that now.
But it won't
Too
fit over
late.
the top of the hat. And if I take the hat off, I'll look like James Ernest without the beard.
It's true.
That's
I did. Once I looked like James Ernest without the beard.
That's
also.
true.
It was a dark time.
It was a bad time. You can't go back.
The
You can't go
darkest
back.
timeline.
I mean,
So-
no, I don't want people to see the top of my head.
Wow, that's way better.
Wow, welcome
Now
back to
you-
Hee Haw.
Thank you. For
What do I need earphones for anyway? I can hear you.
I knew this would go well.
Where,
Uh,
where
just say-
are you
Just say
tonight?
BR
So
549.
imagine I was introducing our guests.
I can't see myself on camera. There's a light in the way.
Yeah, that's probably for the best. So
you look
we
great.
are joined by Ken St. Andre, who is one of our gaming guests of honor at this convention. We're excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Ken's most famous claim to fame is that he is the originator of Tunnels and Trolls, which would you say is one of the first RPGs?
He says
I would
it's the
say
first.
Tunnels and Trolls is the first true RPG.
Yeah. I didn't
That
want
other game was simply a miniatures game with a few role-playing elements tossed on top.
Right.
Good
so,
to know.
not,
See, I don't have to say
Right.
anything. I
Right.
can just sit here and let
not
Ken
a
go.
controversial statement at all, but nonetheless, a legendary game, to say the least.
But Ken is also, if one thing that Ken and I have been walking around a lot, and
That's good.
Ken and I go to comics every Wednesday. We have breakfast or lunch. We both live in Phoenix, and
How can you not know if it's breakfast or lunch?
well,
I don't know, man.
Where is this place?
he loves going to IHOP.
IHOP?
So it varies, wherever we go. And we hang out and we talk about games and we talk about, comics and we talk about a lot of stuff. And Ken and I think it's fair to say that we become friends. I think it's fair
I
to
think
say.
that's a fair statement.
All right.
And,
we'll have it evaluated professionally.
And it's been a lot of fun hanging out with Ken and talking about, the very, very beginning of a hobby that I love. And Ken is a living history museum.
I was there in the Stone Age of role-playing.
That's right. When you had to carve your own D20 out of a stone.
We didn't use D20s.
No.
Why would you?
Why would I? We had perfectly good six-sided dice that worked for everything.
It's excellent.
The Romans used them. The Greeks used them. The Babylonians had six-sided dice. They
The Romans
didn't mess
had
around with
D20s.
D20s.
And Ken was around for the Babylonians using these.
Indeed.
I was. Ishtar was a friend of mine.
Did you have to use a crayon to color your own Babylonian dice?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
No. All Babylonian material is done with authentic paints made from crushed crocodile hides and
That's
bulrushes and exotic sand from the remotest corners of Egypt.
It's true. I have no reason to believe you're lying.
But-
John,
Yeah, go ahead.
John, I sort of skipped over introducing you.
Oh, that's okay.
because-
Ken's here.
No.
I am real. No, to be fair, I am here for one reason. I'm at this Origins convention for one reason only, and that's because my friend Ken St. Andre is being inducted in the Hall of Fame.
That's right.
Which has been overlooked for far too long.
I was definitely going to mention that, but I still, and thank you for coming on our show.
It's
and
better that the
announcing
world
that.
does not know that John Wick is here. That way
Yes.
his victims will not be ready
Indeed.
for
This
him
happens
when he
every
shows up
single
with the
time.
gun.
Yes. There is never a point where we can have John Wick on the show without discussing Keanu Reeves.
That's true.
But nonetheless, you are not that John Wick.
Well,
You
Again.
are.
I am.
You are.
I am, but they had to change things for dramatic purposes.
Indeed.
Sure.
They
It's
were
not-
they were Lithuanian gangsters,
I
not
see.
Russian gangsters.
I see.
And it was a pen.
Oh,
It wasn't a pencil. It
I
was a pen.
see.
But otherwise, it's all true.
You know when they kicked him out of the hotel there at the end of the second movie, where they said every assassin in the world is now going to go after you? That's when he decided to get a second identity as John Wick, the game designer.
Good cover. Good
It's true.
cover. No one would think you are an assassin.
No one would ever think
Yeah,
that
I'm-
I'm an assassin.
I'm convinced.
All right.
I like the idea of changing your profession instead of your name. That's
It's really clever.
That's thinking outside of the box.
Well, it worked.
Yeah. I still haven't introduced you.
That's okay. So Ken and I have been walking around.
International assassin John Wick.
Yes.
Ken and I have been walking around, and the one game that game designers keep mentioning, which is true for me too, is Stormbringer,
Yeah, sure.
which was when the first role-playing game I bought was Call of Cthulhu, and in the box it had the, hey, do you like this game? You can order these other games. And the two other games that I got were Pendragon and Stormbringer. And so the three designers who were the most influential on me as a game designer were Ken St. Andre, Greg Stafford, and Sandy Peterson. And, so Greg and Sandy are already in the Hall of Fame, and, Ken's going to be there too, and that means a lot to me.
Yeah. Well,
So next year we'll
congratulations.
put John in,
Well,
right?
Someday.
welcome.
Yeah, we can't welcome. Paul and I can't welcome you.
No,
We're
we
not
cannot
Hall of
welcome
Fame
But I
worthy.
can.
But
Twice?
James has
No,
been
no, no.
inducted.
Reiner Knizia was inducted
Well,
twice.
no, James was inducted. No,
I was
James,
inducted about 1/3 of a time.
Yeah, he was given.
I was given 10 minutes to prepare and a blank statuette.
Yeah, I inducted him into the Hall of Fame, but was given no materials to hand him to suggest that he was in the Hall of Fame.
So
and
we
so
just
he
kind of
left
flapped our
without any materials, and then they forgot they did it. And
For,
so-
for a while.
for a while. Yeah, and then they had to be reminded after they inducted him again.
They inducted Reiner twice. They did not induct me twice.
No?
They did no. They inducted Reiner twice.
Yes, I know.
They got him up on stage the second time, and he was like, "Why am I doing this again?"
Only
Anything
or-
worth doing once is worth doing
Absolutely.
again.
So you'll be back next year when you're inducted again.
Well, if they invite me back and pay my hotel
Oh, there's no
room and
guarantee
everything,
you'll
you know,
be there. No guarantee
It's
they'll
an
pay
honor
you.
just to be inducted
They
twice.
should induct you for every separate game that you do, right?
Oh yeah, no. Reiner needs to get inducted a few more times.
Well, there's no reason they could only do 2 people a year.
That's true.
That's true.
Let's
Here is
do
the
100
list.
people a year. Let's
good.
not have a Hall of Fame, but a Legion of Fame.
Indeed. Oh, we're going to war now.
No,
I
no,
like
it's like
this.
the Legion of Superheroes.
Oh, good. Oh, I
Indeed.
want to
Well,
be.
they
I
go
want
to
to be
war a
Matter
lot.
Eater Lad. Can I be Matter Eater Lad?
Paul, you can be Hawkeye.
That would be great.
Hawkeye
Go
is
ahead,
not in
continue.
the Legion of Superheroes. What
I
is
know.
wrong with you?
I'm so proud not to care.
Why would you provoke me like that?
Because I
It's
like
so
provoking
easy.
But
you.
Hawkeye was great. He's the one who killed Bruce Banner.
He killed Bruce Banner?
He killed Bruce Banner. An arrow, a special arrow prepared to kill Bruce Banner just in case he was about to Hulk out.
I think you're thinking of Green Arrow and Superman and
No,
Injustice.
it's Hawkeye and Bruce
No.
Banner and the Hulk.
It's always the Archer, isn't it?
It
Trust
is.
me, I go to comics with him every Wednesday.
Oh.
For
And you eat
breakfast
either
or lunch.
breakfast or lunch.
Yeah.
Either breakfast or lunch.
If it's before 10:30, it's breakfast. If it's after 10:30, it's lunch.
Because that's when
It
McDonald's
doesn't
switches
really
over their
matter
menu. I got it.
what
yeah.
we eat.
We do not eat at McDonald's.
If it's
We
waffles,
never go to McDonald's.
If it's
this
waffles,
is the
it's
most expensive
breakfast.
friendship I've ever had, you know.
So you
even
said
though
you,
we split it, you know, he buys on 1 week, I buy on the next, you know, and
what week are we on?
I think it's. I don't know. He keeps
See,
track.
I knew that would happen.
He keeps track. So,
I keep
so
track.
Yeah, it's your turn again, John.
It is my turn.
it is your turn again, John. I bought the last time.
It's always the way. It's always the way. All right, I'm serious this time. John,
Yeah.
you are your own kind of legendary game designer.
Okay. If you
Let's
say
talk
so.
about like 7Z and all the stuff you're doing.
Okay, I did Legend of the Five Rings. I did 7C. I did Orc World. Another game called Cat, and then I did 7C again. And let's talk more about Ken.
So,
There we go.
Oh, no. And he also did Houses of the Blooded.
I
He
did,
did. Oh,
Let's be very clear.
he did How to Play Dirty. Every
Yep.
once in a while, he gets out of, he just, not how to, just play dirty.
Yes.
To teach you how to not be boring when you're a GM.
It's true.
That's
I
something
saw
like
you
that.
carrying a new RPG. Do you want to talk about that?
I have a private project that I've been working on. It's called Galaxy XXX.
Ooh,
It is my Barbarella role-playing game.
nice. Nice.
Uh,
Do we get to do a slow motion striptease in space?
Oh, you so
there are
do.
rules for that?
Oh, yes.
'Kay.
So most role-playing games, it takes 4 hours to resolve 10 seconds of combat. But seducing the barmaid or the bar stud is 1 die roll.
Sure.
Obviously, games written by virgins with sword fetishes.
Absolutely.
This game, resolving combat takes 1 die roll, but the other part takes all night long.
Excellent.
All night long.
I can go all night.
All night long.
All night.
Now you just
All
increased
night.
our music budget.
We only did 1 bar. We're
Okay,
safe.
is that how it
Only did
works?
1 bar.
Okay.
Yes. So it's that's and so I ran. Whenever I pitch this game,
Yeah.
my male game designer friends, they're like, "That's very clever. I'll back that for $10
Sure,
on
why
the
not?
PDF."
Yeah.
That's general response. The general response from my women game designer friends is, "Are you running that at this show?"
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm encouraged by that.
Yeah.
I think it's because they don't want to be there when it actually happens.
Yes, they're like, "Are you running this in this show?"
I
Good.
wanna-
I'll be
I
in
wanna-
Cleveland.
I want to make sure the authorities know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
And
easier.
I had the opportunity to run the game in Texas, Austin. So
Yes.
so
So
that's
not
like
barely Texas.
kind of Texas.
Not really Texas.
And the question I keep getting asked is, do you think you can get 4 or 5 straight white males, about 30 to 40 years old, to pretend to have sex with each other?
I don't need no stinking earphones.
No, you don't. And I said, I know you know the answer to that question, but
Yes.
I don't.
Exactly.
So I'm going to find out. And I will tell you from experience multiple times, that the answer is yes. They will do that if the game mechanic rewards them for doing it.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. You bribe them, and they're on. it.
Gamification.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
But there was a moment that I'm really, really proud of.
It's a shame that sex doesn't have its own rewards.
No.
You know,
We'd all be better at it.
It's
Probably
a
a
shame
good
that
idea.
pretending to have sex
I
doesn't
think
have
there's
its
some
own reward.
improvements coming to sex, though.
when I went to Ireland,
Let me Google that for you.
Yes.
when I went to Ireland, I had Orc World, and Orc World has a drinking story in it because orcs tell drinking stories. And one of the guys in Ireland said only Americans wouldn't try to make an excuse for drinking.
Nice.
But the
I mean, quite
we
honestly,
need rules to slow it down.
Quite
yeah,
honestly,
new rules to slow it down.
that's all this podcast is.
But I'm running through the game, and I'm running through character creation. And one of the elements of character creation is orientation. So you can be a monosexual character, you can be a bisexual character, you can be an asexual character. And one of the guys is reading the thing, and he says, "Asexual, what is that?"
Oh, nice.
And I said, "Well, that means you're not sexually attracted to any gender." And he said, "Is that a real thing?"
Oh.
And I said, "Yes." And he got out his phone and he started Googling, and he was like,
Nice.
"Wow, this is a real thing." And I went, "I win.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's it. I win this game."
I mean,
That's-
you improved the world. I'm not sure you improved your life, but you definitely improved the world.
but it's something that what I found running the game is that the one of the things about playing a role-playing game is you get to play something that you're not.
Yeah.
So I get to play an orc, or I get to play an elf, or I get to play a lesbian alien, and I get to go, oh, I know what or I don't know what this is, but I get to explore what this is in a safe place with my friends. And then when I encounter this in real life, I can go, hey, wait a minute, I have like this much experience with that. Maybe it's not so foreign and strange to me anymore. And, that's the little subversive part of it that I'm very proud of.
Being a lesbian alien with tentacles is always going to be foreign and strange. Once you get there, it will be foreign and strange, I guarantee.
And awesome.
Well, gentlemen, as usual, you have entertained and frightened us.
We will be talking about this for hours to come.
Yes.
Good.
We
We
will
didn't
regret
get
it.
to say a thing about our games, really.
Just a little.
But if you ever meet a tunnel in a troll, or a troll in a tunnel, just tell them you know Ken, and you'll be okay.
Okay.
Yes. Oh, good to know.
No, I'm going to tell him I know Insane Andre, because that's what it says on my my call sheet. Hey, John Wick, Ken St. Andre, always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you for inviting us.
You guys have
Thank
a
you for
great
inviting us.
Origins.
We will. It's going to be awesome. It will be legendary.
Hall of Fame worthy.
Hall of Fame worthy.
Famous. Getting along famously.
Indeed.
Getting along with you.
No, I don't know where you got that I was inducted twice. That's
No, you're right.
That's
I knew
that's
that.
a Reiner
I knew
Knizia
that.
story.
I knew that. I forgot.
They literally forgot between one year and the next. that they
No,
had
I know.
done
It must have been my my introduction of you that was so memorable.
I don't.
you thought it happened
I don't
twice?
remember what you said.
I sure don't either. I'm sure I said. You know what I remember about
There
it?
were some
I actually
notable
You
remember-
said something embarrassing.
No, I remember nothing about it except for the following. It was in a room with a little banquet hall, and there was a piano. And all I could do, the only place I could give this from, I had to rest my arm on the piano like Peter Lawford in a Rat Pack movie, right? And I'm just like,
Give the introduction while flipping a coin.
yeah, really felt that way. So that's how classy it was.
Tip the fedora.
Indeed. Hey, we are welcoming to the show one Mr. Christopher Bedell of Greater Than Games.
Hello.
Hello.
Really, of life.
Yes, of all the Christopher Bedells I know, you are the Christopher Bedelliest.
Of the Westchester Bedells.
Of the West
You look like you've come to give us the good word.
No. I've come to sell you encyclopedias.
Yeah,
in fact.
Chris.
That's a lot of
if
really
you
good
can't-
words.
If you
There's some
can't
other
see
numbers.
us, and honestly, that should be how you're listening to this, you will note that Chris is dressed beautifully. He has a white patent linen suit.
Patent linen.
Just regular
What did
style
those
linen.
words mean?
I don't know what that means.
It would be like a shiny, lacquered linen.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, beautiful tie. Pockets. Oh, no pockets.
Greater Than
Oh, no,
Games
I have a
vest.
pocket
Square.
Of
Yes.
course.
And my tie, though it seems to be just a silver and orange tie with orange paisleys, these orange paisleys have a secret something.
BB-8s.
Oh, they're BB-8s.
They have little
They
BB-8s
are
in the
BB-8s.
business.
Nice.
Yep.
I'm trying to be subtle. This is me being subtle.
On the radio.
This is how subtle. All right, I knew I was going to be on this this fantastic radio show tonight. So like, you know what? I'll dress for radio.
That's the right call. It's always, you can see we do that as well.
yes, you nailed
So,
it.
so you are here. You are nearby booth mates of ours, or just down the.
Just down the way. I can wave.
That's right.
you know,
That's
yeah.
right.
Booth neighbors.
Booth adjacent.
We're in the same booth neighborhood.
We're booth
Right.
curious.
Right.
And you have undoubtedly more Sentinels games than one could possibly know.
Well, I mean, I have more than you do,
Yes.
but only by a couple.
That's a good point.
And it's not, I don't feel like it's a deficiency in any way on your part.
No.
Like-
But yes, Sentinels of the Multiverse and all of its many offspring. What do you have specifically here that people can see?
So at the booth, I've got Sentinels of the Multiverse, of course.
Of course.
And that is like the oldest product. That is definitely the oldest product we have.
Yep.
I also have the youngest product we have, which is Sentinel Comics role-playing game.
Yes.
Yes.
And
So good.
Let me just say, I got a chance to play this thing.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's super good. I have a beef with most superhero games,
Sure.
as you know, as a superhero game designer.
Right.
Right? It's like, oh yeah, you did a really good job of taking all the superheroicness out of this game, right? It should move, it should fly, it should shoot laser beams out of its eyes.
It should
not
throw a shield across the Pacific Ocean.
Exactly. It should not come to a crashing halt while we figure out our point buy system, right? And so, but you have made a game that feels like a superhero game.
Well, thank you. I can't take the credit,
No.
or at least not all of it. The thing that I was blessed with is a superhero team. The Sentinel Comics role-playing game was designed by myself and Cam Banks,
Yep.
Dave Chalker,
Yep.
and Philippe Menard.
No, let's be clear. That's a Murderer's Row of superhero games.
Right, so I was like, I'm going to put together a super team, and it is being written by myself, those people, and also Clark Valentine, who's a phenomenal
Good,
writer,
excellent.
and being edited by Amanda Valentine. So yeah, no,
Totally
it's been fun being the guy that assembles the team and like puts everybody to tasks. And, things.
And I played it once with you and gave you some feedback. So.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
and that feedback has been incorporated in the game. So as a result, you'll be getting a check.
And that's
Oh,
going on
yeah.
Paul's resume.
You'll be
There
getting
you
a
go.
body check.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
I was told today that I might have a little participation in this game in some weird way.
You've been aware of this.
Well, I
believe.
quite honestly, I had completely forgotten.
So this actually it came about at Origins last year
Yeah.
when you were speaking with Darren Watts.
Indeed.
And I wasn't at Origins last year, but I get a text from Late Night Origins from Darren Watts saying, "Hi, Darren, he would like."
And that's how his text
Right, that's how the
actually
text
reads.
goes. Like,
with slurred speech.
Yeah.
look, it was clear
It had been
at 2 in the
enabled with
morning
slur.
that this is what the subtext
Yeah.
of the text was.
Yeah.
Oh, I wish I could send subtexts.
Yeah,
That would
it's
be
pretty
awesome.
nice. It's pretty nice. But anyway, so yeah, Darren was like, listen, Mike Selinker wants to do this thing where he's like the worst person ever in the history of Sentinel Comics. He's like, all right, okay, I need more information, but also I'm in.
Yeah, we shouldn't spoil it.
Right, no.
We shouldn't say
that's
what
enough.
I play, but it'll be very interesting.
Yeah.
Be
yeah.
very interesting. So let's leave the superhero realm for a second.
Awesome.
Leave it, even though that is a fine place to be.
Sure.
And let's talk about Spirit Island.
Spirit Island.
Oh,
Spirit
so-
Island.
this game.
That has come out since we last spoke.
Right, and we you asked,
On the air, obviously.
you asked me what I have in the booth, and what we have in the booth is Sentinel stuff. We have a game called Fate of the Elder Gods that came at Gen Con last year. We have a game called Laser Riders that came,
Oh, that
came
one's
out at
fun.
Gen Con last year. And we have a game called Spirit Island
Yeah.
that came out at Gen Con last year. And Spirit Island, all three of those games are fun, they're exciting, they're all doing very well. But Spirit Island.
Yeah, no. So I like games that are about something, and I don't mean that they have themselves a compelling story, but like you can tell that the designer was thinking about something important to them while they were doing it, right? And that's how Spirit Island comes across.
Yeah.
Is that I can't do a description of it justice, so please.
Let me dive in. So, in Spirit Island, you're all spirits. We are all together spirits on an island. It's right there in the name.
Good
Oh, no,
description.
that makes sense.
I'm
Right.
sold.
Yeah, great. But like we're spirits of the trees, spirits of the wind, of the lightning, of the river. Not particularly powerful or scary. We are a part of the natural order of this island. And then centuries ago, in the history of the island, some people show up in boats made of skin, made of not horrifying
Whoa,
skin, but like animal skins,
no,
like like
Skins.
small little boats.
Tree skins.
It's
Right.
always different when it's skins as opposed to skin.
Right. Skins is okay.
Yeah,
Skin is
not okay.
You
Yeah.
don't want the boats made out of shirts, though. Those
And-
are the
no, they don't work very well.
No, no.
And those people, they move into the island, and they begin living in this island, and they, over time, they become known as the indigenous people of this island, the Dahan people, and they learn how to interact with the spirits. They are first afraid of the spirits, of course, but then they learn some of these spirits you stay out of their way. Some of these spirits you work together with. So now, modernly, when new boats show up on the coast of the island, and they begin unloading people. We, the spirits, we're not concerned. We're like, sure, fine, people have come before, people will come again, it's not a big deal. But these people, these whiter people,
Yes.
begin moving onto the island, and as they do so, they begin setting up towns, and then they begin building cities.
And roads.
And these towns
No,
and
it's
these
not.
cities.
It's close, but no.
I mean, sure, they're there. These towns and these cities, they begin blighting the land, and those towns and those cities and those explorers, they begin killing the Dahan people. And we as spirits, many of our fellow spirits get destroyed by this blight from these invaders. And so now we're like, okay, these people are different. We were slow to act initially, but now we must grow, we must change, and we must respond. We are going to go from being spirits of the trees and of the water and of the wind to being spirits of fear, spirits of the darkness, spirits of destruction, spirits of great power in order to save our island. We're going to lose a little bit of ourselves in order to save the thing that is our home.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic game. I mean, and the pitch is great, obviously, in the sense of like that sounds very compelling, but it's also just like gameplay-wise, super fun.
Yeah, so mechanically,
Yeah.
it is the game is playing a 4X game against you.
Yep.
The explorers are moving inland, they're setting up towns and cities, those things are blighting the land, and you've got to stop that. It's an entirely cooperative game. All the spirits are working together to push the invader pieces towards the coasts and to destroy them and to generate fear. And it's a 2-hour game. It's a heavy game.
It's a very heavy game. It's very intricate, but all the pieces like work together. That's one of the things I love about it so much is like you're always like, well, I'll do this, and that'll mean you can do this now, and then you can do this other thing. You're always working
the
together.
synergies
like
are
that.
so strong. Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely is in my top 2 co-op games set on an island.
For now.
No,
now.
sorry, top 3 co-op games
I was just
set
saying, I
on
can
an
look
island.
at more.
No, maybe 4. No, I'm still at 3.
All right, that's very kind of you. It's very generous.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's a fantastic game. You should be commended for taking an issue that sort of hits at the heart, but also turning it into a fantastic game.
Well, thank you. It's been a blast. I am not the designer of that game. Eric Royce is the guy that designed it, and I met him at Origins 2012 when he had this idea for this game that he was figuring out. And he and I talked because he was like, "I'm working on this very strategic, thematic, cooperative game." And I was like, "Hello."
No,
Hi.
I appreciate that, and nonetheless, as the person who sometimes does this job, I can see your handiwork in it.
Oh, thank you.
So it's very good, and I wish you all the success with it.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Please get Spirit Island. So, well, sir, it is lovely having you on the show.
Thank you.
Christopher Bedell.
Classing the joint up.
Yeah, we can't compete.
So I'm getting kicked off.
That's what's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fair. That's fair.
But
When you hear your name again.
yeah, that's
Right,
true.
right.
Well, James. Okay, so James actually, like, first or second
your
year
name
of the
has been
show was like, I'm gonna reprimand you.
Every time.
Yeah. So basically, he says you need to say the name of the guest again, right? So now I use it as a bell.
Yep.
Right? Like
That's what you did.
And so James goes, "Yep, checked off. He did it right." And so yeah. But Christopher, thank you so much. We will see you just down the hallway.
You'll see me shortly.
Indeed.
No, I'm pretty sure we'll see him way before down the hallway tomorrow.
Okay.
Good night,
Bye,
everybody.
Chris.
There's got to be a way
Yeah.
to set up Settlers on one table
Yeah, no, it's what it is.
and Spirit Island on the
Right.
other table.
And you have a cell
them,
phone.
like interact.
Cell phone back and forth.
I've always
right?
wanted to make
Have a judge go between
Oh
them.
yeah, or something like that, where you just like settlement gets placed in Settlers of Catan.
I
right?
trade wood for sheep.
Yeah.
And meanwhile,
The sheep rebel.
yeah, I'm overwhelmed
the tree
by
spirits
nightmares.
are pissed about the
Yeah.
wood thing.
Oh, the ore spirit is really mad right now.
I've always wanted to make a game where you play the game twice, basically. The first time you build a city. It's a city builder, and you all get points at the end. And then you play a game based on that where your monsters attack.
Right, of
Everybody
course.
has a monster.
Yeah.
And destroys the city, and you all get points. So you got to play 2 games, and you got this amazing random setup, basically, by how you played the first
And
game.
also the mechanics of the second half put it away in the box.
Yes.
Nice.
Yes, by the end of
Oh,
it,
wow.
it unwinds the
No
game.
teardown time because you're
Exactly.
tearing it down.
Right.
Right.
I like it.
See, look at this.
Oh man, this is a good game. We need to make it.
We're in it.
It's
Let's do
called
it.
Pre-Rampage.
Go ahead, I'll think of it.
No, he'll come up with much better names for that.
I don't see any guests coming up. Maybe
Well,
we've
that's
been
okay.
abandoned.
No, it's probably Craig.
Probably Craig, but
Yeah,
he's
we'll
too
see.
busy drinking.
Well, it's okay.
Drinking and talking,
Yeah.
talking to Chris.
He does that a
You
lot.
know, we could always have another guest, but it's not required.
Look, we can talk.
We can
you
talk.
don't have
Thank
to
you.
like.
No,
Egg people on.
I'm mostly egging on Trevor, who can see me now.
Oh, I see.
Trevor, thank you for bringing us a Craig.
Huzzah.
Would you put on the headphones?
The only way to get away from the headphones is to wear a big cowboy hat.
Big cowboy hat and not care.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's helpful. That's helpful by a lot of things in Ken's life, I think.
I was hoping he would tell the telephone story.
Oh.
I don't know the telephone.
I was
story.
trying to get him to tell
I
that.
didn't do that.
I don't know if I'm really equipped.
No, I don't have it either.
We'll get him on. Maybe we get Rick Loomis to tell it.
Sure. Oh, the telephone story.
Yeah. Oh, Rick's here.
Yeah, I know, but still. Hey, it's Craig Stockwell.
Hey, Mike Selinker, how are you?
It's M. Craig Stockwell.
When I'm trying to sound, like important.
Indeed.
It's on your badge, but
Right,
it's not really that.
It's true.
What is the M for?
More games.
More games, Craig Stockwell.
Morgan?
More games, Craig Stockwell.
It actually started when I was writing for a newspaper. I thought, what could possibly sound as pretentious as possible for a new reporter?
Yeah.
And the byline M. Craig Stockwell sounded ideal for that.
Sure, I agree.
And you never let it go.
I never did.
M. Craig, you are here. Now that sounds horrible. You can't refer to somebody as M. Craig.
My second editor-in-chief said, "Can I just call you M?" I said, "Sure."
Okay, Q. So you're here to join us. It's very nice.
Thanks
to
for
see you.
coming.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You are the designer of the game Witches of the Revolution.
This is true.
Yes. Would you like to describe this game to people?
Yeah, it's a fully cooperative game for 1 to 4 players that has a pretty big deck building element to it, and I like to think it was pretty good. So I got feedback from James Ernest early on. We had a lovely discussion about why he hates deck builders, and though I kept it as a deck builder, go ahead, James.
James gives you permission to speak.
I was waiting for it, but insightfully, as he so often is, James had said it's crummy how in deck builders you always start off with the crappiest cards possible.
Right. Absolutely.
And I said, that's a fair point. And then Devin Lowe, who was there playtesting that as well, launched into a full defense of all things deck building.
Right. He might have some investment.
He has a little experience there.
He does. But to the point, with
Devin taught me a very important rule. If there's 10 games in the category, it's no longer a ripoff, it's a genre.
Yes.
I don't know where he got the number 10, but he sure has it.
Yes, indeed.
And he sticks with it, I think. I think he would still say that.
I feel like I've been genred a lot.
like an adventure card game.
Are
there 10s?
Oh, yeah. At the point
then
at
I
which,
can make one. Yay.
No, at the point. Oh, absolutely you can. At the point at which the Goonies adventure card game was out,
Really?
I was like, wow, you know what? This isn't me anymore.
Nice.
Right?
It's a genre now.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
let me give you my more nuanced opinion. It's not that I hate deck building games. It's that I'm always frustrated when new games in a category don't really break any of the rules or change the
they don't change
category
a thing,
enough to really feel like a new game.
Right, if it's a Dominion clone.
In other words, it's a rip.
If you're going to have an identical mechanic from the game you're emulating, you really need to prove to me that it can't be anything else. And I think that's what our conversation was about.
Yeah, we've gotten...
that is more nuanced.
We've gotten people who basically said, I just want to ask your permission to steal everything you created. And my response...
My answer is you don't have time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and my answer is always, man, go nuts. Because the one thing I can be very confident about is if they're making the same thing I am making, I've got an 18-month head start on them.
Well, and no one steals from me because my games never sell.
No.
So I'm set.
Tac, though. No, I shouldn't have said.
Good old tac.
Anyway, let's talk about Witches of the Revolution.
Yes.
So we have not adequately explained what it is.
Yes, we got distracted by James as
One
many
does.
are wont to do.
One does.
I know it's hard to ignore.
That was your hand was like the size of King Kong when you did that on
Really?
the screen. Yeah, it was great.
So
no, it was in the foreground. So anyway,
it stretched out to the camera, and it blotted it out, eclipsing us all.
So, Witches of the Revolution.
Witches of the Revolution.
What do you do?
What do you do? So, you are all playing Covens of Witches in this alternate history. I was corrected at Gen Con a couple times when I slipped up and was not precise. By people saying, no, that didn't really happen.
Oh, so it can't be an alternate history if it refers to something that's non-historic.
apparently you have to preface it in every
I
time
see.
you pitch the game as being an alternate history in which witches do powerful things and affect events. And in the case of Witches of the Revolution, witches come over from Europe to escape religious persecution.
Wait, the alternate history is not of the witches. The alternate history is of the American Revolution.
Both.
Gettysburg is not the story of Yetis that I just stuck into the Civil War, right? I'm talking about the Civil War, and also there's Yetis. Like there's a
Yetis are more than window dressing.
no, very much so, but
Yeah.
still. Anyway, I've interrupted you yet again because that seems to be our job.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. If Paul's going to be next, I see the tokens piling up for him to interrupt next.
If you let the guest talk, you get it.
So witches come over with everybody else who's trying to get out of persecution, and things go swimmingly as they do in new colonies under imperialism, until the British crown gets too tyrannical, and then the witches throw in with the patriots to help make America in the first place. And they're working behind the scenes, mostly subtle things that the history books just wouldn't credit them with doing.
They just gloss over it.
They do. So you have these overarching objectives like resurrect Benjamin Franklin because we kind of needed him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Deposing a
I
British
assume
governor.
I assume that he got electrocuted.
That's a good guess. I don't think you were clear to know that, so we'll have a talk later.
Oh, darn witches.
Yeah. But anyway, so thematically, I liked the set, and thankfully Atlas also liked the setting, because whenever you pitch a game, while ideally, unless it's abstract, you have a strong theme that you like, but a publisher, of course, is welcome to and should say that will not sell in our line.
No. This game, when it came out, it was just like, this is what this game is about.
Right.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
no
I can't
question.
imagine
There
it
was
being
no
anything
way
else.
it could be
Yeah,
anything
and Jeff Tidball, the COO, and John Neffy, the president, were both super on board with the theme, so I was very happy because I went in like, I love the mechanic, but I love the theme more, and
Yeah.
they said,
No.
We like them both, we will keep them.
Can't change it. It's an excellent game.
Yeah,
we
and-
got to see it. We got to see it long before it came out.
Well, of course.
Yeah, and it was
As you do.
it was a good game when we first saw it, and it's a great game now.
Thank you. And to James's point about making something different, in this, the major, I think, mechanical twist, if you will, is that every time any player reshuffles, the game gets a step harder. So instead of trying to churn your deck as quickly as possible, as in most deck builders, and to thin it for speed and effect and potency of card on average, if you get into the geeky stuff like that, you will probably be wrecked at least the first couple times in the game.
Exactly.
So hopefully that's different enough to entertain people who require a non-Dominion clone, as fine a game as it has been.
Those individuals among you
Those
who
individuals
require a non-clone.
who require some
Non-clone.
innovation.
Not the company that Martha Stewart went to jail. No.
Non-clone?
Non-clone. So what have you been working on lately? Because I mean that game came out at Gen Con last year.
Yeah, it did. And since then, I've continued to push ahead with other prototypes.
You're a member of our playtest group up in Seattle.
Yeah, in fact, I don't think our playtest group would be running very well
Probably
without him
not,
these
so-
days. He's
so
the one who
talk a
sets
little
up
about
all the
how that
meetings.
works and how other people can run their own groups and get
Yeah.
playtesting on a regular basis.
Yep.
First move to Seattle.
Yeah.
No, you can do it anyway.
Oh, sorry.
You can, although it's awesome in the Seattle area. It is. I would argue Western Washington may be the highest game industry professionals per
Oh,
capita.
Yeah. No, there's way too damn many of us. Some have to go. Some of us have to go.
When we throw a mini convention basically for designers and we can do a publisher meet and greet and have 8 publishers show up,
Which is basically what you did last week.
That was a couple weekends ago.
I have lost track of time. That's the
You're
second
not
time
doing
I've
well.
done that on this podcast.
Perhaps that
it's the
drink
third,
was-
Mike.
Yeah.
Damn it, I have lost track of time.
I'm sorry, Paul. Perhaps your drink is a little strong too.
Yes.
Oh, it could be. It always is.
It could be.
So you got a bunch of game designers.
So we had a bunch of game designers that actually started with Paul. Had a small group that was doing that, and I'd known Paul for some time, and he said, why aren't you designing games anymore? You used to do that. And I said, and I said, you're right. And but how would I get back into it? I feel like I've been out of it for 20 years because I pretty much had. And he said, there's a few of us that meet at this pizza place every 2 or 3 weeks, and you should show up. And if you do, you have to bring a game.
That's how it is.
And sure enough, 2 weeks later, I showed up with a very, very, very rough game that was absolutely abysmal. But I learned very quickly, instead of those who operate in a vacuum without other people,
You learn that there's a group of enthusiastic designers who want to get feedback and give feedback and be kind and gentle, and there's also me.
Yep. Yeah. It's
Sometimes it's trial by fire, sometimes it's
trial by
margin.
James.
One of the
we
things
call
that
it.
keeps this group going is just the consistency, is that it's
Yes.
very regularly every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It is every
It's not
2
the same people, but it's always there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have we have a Facebook group that everybody belongs to, and there's over 100 people in the group. But on a every other week basis, we usually have between 8 and 10 people show up with 3 or 4 games to play.
I occasionally bring my dog.
Occasionally, yes, very much so.
Yeah. So I think if people are interested, as they should be, in getting a game design group going, just do it and make it a regular thing. We originally were meeting very irregularly.
Right.
We'd be like, oh, it's going to be this Tuesday, and then 3 weeks from now on a Friday we're going to do it.
Right.
And we eventually settled on every other Tuesday, rain or shine. If our meeting place is closed, a place nearby, if there's a convention we're all going to, too bad, the people going miss out.
Right, yeah,
and other
absolutely.
people continue on, and I think it's worked really well. I mean,
No,
I
it,
think
it definitely has.
we-
We set it up at the beginning with here's the best day for the most people, and that's what we've done consistently. In fact, it was like a big change 6 months ago where we started running a Saturday event once a month as well, because we could do a longer block of time. We could meet.
And also people that were a little further away, people that live on the peninsula in Bremerton and such, they're like, there is no way I can leave my job at 5 or 6,
Right.
get to your game store at 6 or 7, and leave at 10 and get home at any reasonable
Right.
time.
And I can't make most of the Saturdays because I'm on the road all the time, but
Right.
the Tuesday nights are great for me.
So if you're in Seattle, now you know the schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just got to figure out where it is.
All right. Craig, it was
Yes,
great having you on the show.
Oh, well, thank you.
And we will see you around the bar, I am sure.
I think there's a close to 100% chance of that being so.
Thank you for being on the show, Craig Stockwell. We will see you a little later.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'll see you around.
So for my personal experience, it's actually okay to have a witch hunt in an environment where there are
Who
witches.
are witches, that's
right,
true.
Yeah.
The thing about that is those witches were fighting against a dictatorship,
A tyrannical dictator.
tyrannical dictatorship.
But
the good thing
Tyrannosaurus
is,
dictatorship.
but the good thing is, it's just a game. It's
You know,
not
we
about
could- we
anything.
We could take the politics out of this game and
No.
make it about dinosaurs.
We could actually. Tyrannosaurus will do.
Dino Hunt.
Yes.
Oh, I remember that.
Pull
game.
up, sir.
Yeah.
Dino Hunt was the inspiration for biting off heads.
Yeah.
Because
oh, wow.
in Dino Hunt, you are going back in time and taking photographs of dinosaurs.
Yes.
And my friend Jordan said, if I wanted to make a game about dinosaurs, it would be called Biting Off Heads.
That's right.
And I'm like, I can do that.
How did it get spelled H-E-D-Z?
Because we're all dinosaurs and
Indeed,
we
we
can't
don't.
spell.
Yes, but how do we know we can't spell?
You
Mike?
don't. They don't know it's spelled
Don't look too
H-E-D-Z.
look too long at the sun, Mike.
Uh-oh. We've been joined.
Once again.
Yes. Chris Perkins.
Hi, Mike Selinker. Turn off my phone so
Yes.
my mom doesn't call me.
No, I want to talk to you.
On
I do
the-
too.
on Twitch.
I want to be like, do you know what he does to us every Tuesday?
Well,
She's like, yes.
We'll be talking
Yes,
about
yeah.
that. We'll be talking about it. Holly, welcome to our show.
Hello.
Yes, Holly Conrad is here. So you're both here for the Dungeons and the Dragons? Are they both here?
Yes.
They had both
we travel
this year?
together.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. And we're doing our usual shenanigans, which is running games and doing panels and hanging out with the cool kids.
That's very true.
Yeah. Yeah.
As evidenced by the
Exactly.
this circumstance.
Yes. And eating and throwing money at local companies who feed us. And
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And what have you been doing, Holly?
I've been running around as Strix. And,
Yes, I imagine so. I was just about to say, so I'm going to apologize. I'm a little disappointed in the way you're dressed.
Just as a human.
Yeah, I mean, so Holly Conrad is a cosplayer extraordinaire. Is that a fair statement?
I think yes.
Yeah.
I just label myself as an internet clown these days.
Nice. Well done.
So
Yes,
I mean, it's fair. Just
Yeah.
maybe a peg down.
But since those of us who are, so I imagine that people who came on or who are listening to us without actually seeing us right now were like expected you to be dressed in some sort of Firebird garb, but not actually. No, you're not.
No, I was earlier, but
Uh-huh.
I usually give myself somewhat of a break
Nice.
in between wearing
Nice.
sessions.
Your costumes are complicated.
Yes, yeah. Strix in particular is very complicated.
Who is Strix? Just for our audience's benefit.
So Strix is my character, who is a tiefling sorcerer from the game that Chris over here DMs called
Indeed.
Dice Camera Action, and we play it every Tuesday. And that's who she is, and she's a trash witch.
Yeah, she looks like a
trash
tiefling witch,
Yeah,
basically.
she's a witch. She looks like a witch, and she's a tiefling, and she's a mess.
She
but
collects
she's
all this strange accoutrements.
Indeed.
she collects garbage, but she's super nice. She's not scary, and she
Right.
bakes pies.
Yes. And Chris, I guess I glided over this, but you are the dungeon master to the stars.
I have been called that. in the
Indeed,
past,
indeed.
Yes.
Chris and I have known each other for
A long time.
a fair number of
Yes.
years. Both of us have worked on Dungeons and Dragons.
We
for
have
a
sat
long-
in airports
Right,
together.
indeed. Both of us worked on Dungeons and Dragons a long time ago, but I stopped. No, that's not true. I still actually help out every now and then. But you are. What is your official title at the Wizards of the Coast?
I am the lead story designer, so I come up with the stories that drive all of our D&D entertainment offerings.
Yeah, and you're in that 5th edition now, right?
That's right. Yes.
Got a new one coming out soon?
Oh, I hope not.
Chris is
Your
actually.
fear
This one's
was
kind. This
real.
one's
I
kinda
know.
caught
No,
on.
it's basically what happens anytime somebody asks me. So you're working on the sequel to the Maze of Games, right? Right. So no, Chris has been. Is it fair to say a through line through several editions?
Yes. In fact, I have technically worked on all of them.
Is that true? You worked on
Yes.
first?
Yes.
How?
Be-
Oh, are you 9?
So, my first publications, I was published
I
in
worked
the
on
magazines.
first too. Damn it.
Yeah, you did too. You must have. You must have.
terrible.
Because you and I were published in Dragon and Dungeon
Yeah.
magazine really early on in the day
Right.
before it even went to 2nd edition.
Right.
I even went between 4th and 5th edition. We also re-released the white box
Yes.
stuff.
Right. Yes. So
And
you kind of
I had
literally
to-
worked on
yes.
first edition again.
Yes, yes, I did. So it always comes back.
Indeed, indeed. So tell us about the Tuesday night game that you run.
I feel wildly underqualified to sit at this table. I'm like, hi, I make streams.
No, look. Okay, the rest of us wish we had an audience. All the other 4 people at this table
Yes.
are like. Every now and then they trot us out and we talk to
Oh,
a group of 7 people.
Right.
And one of them goes, "You're not interesting, I'm leaving."
That's
Yes.
not true.
When-
No, it's a lot more
you guys
than
are
one.
the
That's
most
right. You're
interesting.
right.
When a war
But-
breaks out with North Korea, they're going to invite you to Cheyenne Mountain before they take
Oh,
any
they
of us.
absolutely
Exactly.
no.
It's very
That
true.
is so not
That's very
true.
true.
That
But-
is so not. We're the last to go in because we're just like the internet clowns out there. Like, keep them happy,
No, look.
People need laughter.
keep them entertained, say
But-
dumb things.
No, but you guys do a show that
Yes.
is very entertaining. So,
So
please
Dice
give us-
Camera Action is a D&D show that tracks alongside the stories as we release them. So each season of the show, which is about 30 episodes, and it's every Tuesday, they're 2-hour games. Basically set up an entire season that ties to the story that's currently in the hopper. So we just started season 4, which ties into the Waterdeep Dragon Heist story that we announced recently.
Okay,
And that will carry us through the better part of a year.
fantastic.
And
Yeah.
we're almost to our 100th episode.
We're almost
Wow.
to our 100th episode. They're
your-
about 10th level, going on 11th.
Is your cast the same the whole time?
We have a core cast of 4 regulars, including Holly. The others are Anna Prosser-Robinson, who works at Twitch, Nate Sharp, who's a very clever, successful musician, and Jared Knabenbauer, who's another YouTube sensation who does things online that I don't even understand sometimes.
Internet clown. We're just
Internet
internet
clown. Also a
clowns.
great magic enthusiast. So, and they hang out with me every week and play and go through all the shit that I throw at them, and then we bring in guest stars regularly to shake things up every once in a while.
Excellent, excellent. You want to?
They're the crew. What sets them apart from a lot of other games is they're very suboptimal.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice. They are, yes.
their flaws are what
You
makes
have
them.
a habit of hanging around crews that are very suboptimal.
Yeah, most people I work with are suboptimal.
You don't DM good groups.
Oh, no.
They don't need him.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably more a reflection on me than them.
So also Acquisitions Inc., as we've both
Yes.
helped out.
Right, yes.
you're the-
Acquisitions Inc. is a recurring phenomenon that occasionally sucks me into its orbit.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So you're kind of a YouTube internet clown yourself.
A little bit. I think Acquisitions Inc. was kind of at the very start of, hey, will people actually watch D&D and
Yeah.
be amused?
And the answer is if
Infinitely,
Scott
yes.
Kurtz and
Yes.
and Mike Rahulik and Jerry Holkins are on stage,
You know,
yes.
naturally funny people,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
And I've thankfully had the opportunity to play in both.
That's right.
So,
You have.
And you
That's
are
right.
going
You're,
to be in our...
you are the through line.
yes.
And Strix is going to be in the PAX West crew, too, I
Yep.
think. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
All right.
so but it's a very different game from our Tuesday game. If you haven't watched our Tuesday game, yeah, they don't cry as much as we do.
No. no.
This sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it is a good show.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about what's coming out for Dungeons and Dragons? Are you,
Absolutely.
You're in Somi?
So we just released Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, which I call Murdy Curdy's Term of Furs.
Nice.
And it's a big book of it talks about all the great conflicts of D&D, and it's also part monster manual with a bunch of monsters that you can add to your game. And that's gone over very well. I think it was #1 on Amazon of all books for... That's
Wow.
All books.
That's
all
awesome.
books.
All
Yeah.
books.
Gaming has really come to its fore.
Yeah. So it's been a big success.
You beat
And
that. You beat that. Bill Clinton and James Patterson.
We
thing?
did, and Stephen King and
right.
a bunch of others.
Wow, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
You know what's fun? Escapism.
Yes, and the
I
best
don't
part,
know why. It
it's
seems
also,
like it'd be off the radar.
it also
this
hit
time.
#1 on Publishers Weekly's list of nonfiction.
Nice. Nice.
It's all
Well,
true.
I mean, at some point it has to become true.
I knew
So
it was
the
all
Blood
real.
War is real.
It becomes history.
Yes,
I
right.
knew it, Chris.
Yes.
I knew it. I'm just
The
that kid
Yankee
from
conflict
Galaxy
is
Quest.
real.
Yeah.
And a couple weeks ago at the Stream of Many Eyes, which was a huge streaming
Sony?
event in LA,
Yes.
we drafted a bunch of cosplayers and other folks and built Waterdeep and hung out in there
Pretty
for a
great.
while. And we announced the release of 2 Waterdeep themed products that play together. One is Dragon Heist, which is a urban-based adventure where you're trying to keep a pile of gold out of the hands of evildoers. And then the other is Dungeon of the Mad Mage, where you go down underwater deep into the Great Dungeon of Undermountain, which D&D has visited before, but not to this depth. We got 23 levels of Undermountain plus Skullport, and that's going to keep, those 2 things combined can keep characters busy up to level 20.
Sounds delightful.
Yeah.
Sounds delightful.
Those
You
are my
did-
favorite ones. A group of adventures that's really sort of designed for like this is your experience.
Yeah, you live here now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Now the DM can always take you away from there, but
Sure.
you can always come back
No,
to the warm hearth and
I
home
can,
of Undermountain.
I can see my house from here. It's basically all it is. All it is. You did a puzzle hunt recently
So as part
Yeah.
of that whole promotion for
Yeah,
the Stream Many
right.
Eyes, yes, we worked with some folks, Ivan Van Norman and
Lisa Teague.
Lisa Teague.
Yeah.
They put together a very, very fun, complex puzzle that sort of played out over social media. and
Yeah,
stuff
that was very cool.
to get people pumped about the water.
I also like that I didn't have to write it.
Yes.
I was a big
Yes.
fan of that.
I was looking for your footprints all over.
Oh no! I made sure my footprints were
Okay.
the things
Yeah.
you heard going out the door. They were like, yeah, we're doing this. It's gonna be great. Do you want? And I was, but it was really good.
Yes, Mike has an amazing brain. I've never quite understood, but I've always respected.
We have a mutual admiration
Yeah.
society that
Yeah.
way, as we know. But yeah, no, great stuff from D&D this year. Just you guys just keep knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, we're sort of taking our time. We're putting as much love into each product as we can, making events seem special, and just doing whatever we can to excite the community and give them fun toys to play with. And I think streaming has been a great way to demystify the game.
Yeah.
It's sort of propelled the game into the mainstream stratosphere, and at this point, we just don't want to f it up.
Yeah, seriously. Well, we've done that before.
Yeah. Many times.
Quite honestly, it's not as much fun as you might think.
No. Just try to be a good steward of the brand
Yeah.
and listen to what the people are asking.
By the
for.
way, is anybody going to ever demystify Myst? Like, I want that
I
now.
hope not.
Yeah, no, but I
There'd be
mean,
nothing left.
It'd just be D.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you guys for coming on. What are you guys doing at Origins? Like, what's your thing now? What are you doing?
So I'm here with Wizards, just running around being a trash witch.
What if somebody were to see you tomorrow after listening to this show? Where would they see you?
I'm going to be in the D&D area, the like little free play area, just kind of tooting around. around.
The Strix toot?
Yeah, yeah, sure, yeah. Just tooting around. And then I'll just be around tomorrow doing signings and all that kind of stuff, and then eventually go back to my normal form and
My normal form.
and continue.
This is your normal form?
Yes.
Okay, just checking.
Yes.
Holly and I just did some stuff to show off Dwarven Forge sets that are coming out.
Oh,
There's
nice.
a new Kickstarter they're launching. That's kind of fun. So I got to play, which is nice, change of pace.
That was awesome. It's always fun.
Not on stage?
Sort of in front of cameras, but just at a,
right.
on a-
There's no point where you actually play Dungeons and Dragons
There were
anymore.
6,000 people watching.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to be clear. Do you ever play Dungeons and
Wormwood gave
Dragons
us a big
without
table.
6,000 people watching?
Yeah, there were
you
6,000
can't do it.
people.
No, it can't be done.
Yeah, it can't be
remember,
done.
Remember back in the day before you could play a nerd could play a game of Dungeons and Dragons without somebody sticking a
I'm
camera
sorry,
in his
you cannot
nose.
play D&D without booking Benaroya Hall. in
Yeah.
Seattle.
I wish we were back in those years.
Yeah. And then the rest of the time I'm doing panels. Tomorrow my panel is just our process of storytelling at Wizards, how we tell our stories now.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming on. It's always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you
we're
very much
lovely.
for making the time, guys.
Oh, you guys are the best.
Thanks for letting me sit here.
Thanks for taking up space, Holly.
Yay!
All right, well, thank you guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right, take care, guys.
So, who are those guys?
I don't know.
Dungeons and Dragons is some kind of role-playing game.
Yeah,
I think
what
it
you
was,
do in it.
It was
okay.
among the first two role-playing
It was among the
games.
first. It's no Tunnels and Trolls. So
That is the truth.
Oh my
It was
goodness.
Dungeons and Dragons is basically a miniatures game with a tacked-on little bit of role-playing.
Right.
Right.
I learned that
That's
earlier
perfect.
today.
High hard boots, low soft boots. Who cares?
Yeah, that's right.
Nobody needs that.
Exactly.
They need to know more about those tunnels and those trolls.
Yeah, sure.
If you ever run into a toll and a trunnel, I
a
can't
toll
even say
and a
it.
trunnel?
I can't even
A
say
A
it.
toll and a trunnel.
Just tell him you know Crazy
Insane
Andre.
Andre.
Insane Andre
Insane
really
Andre.
lived up to his billing. We are joined by Eduardo Baroff.
Hello.
Hello, sir. It
Which
is
I
good-
recently learned is Ed Bariff.
That's me too.
Yeah.
Both.
You're Ed
But that's the
Baroff.
way he says
And
You actually
Ito.
say
And-
Ed
it. So
Hey, I'm
I
here,
learned this
Bariff.
from Mike. I learned to mispronounce your name from Mike.
What? Have I been pronouncing it wrong all these years?
It's everyone pronounces it differently. It's
So
totally
is it
cool.
Bariff?
Baraff, Baraff.
You're so much cooler
My
as
parents
a
both
Baroff.
said it differently, so
Your
I'm cool.
Baroff is cooler though.
Back. It's from Borofsky,
Oh, I see.
but it's pretty commonly called Baraff. But it's cool.
No.
I'm cool.
Anyway,
it's not.
Edo.
It's Edo.
It's Edo,
Like
to be
Edo
fair.
Jedi, no Edo.
Yeah,
like,
no,
like
it's not
the
Edo.
Edo period.
yeah.
Edo period.
All right.
Oh, I see. You're not like. Wait, are you really suggesting that your nickname is Japanese in origin?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. I mean, not my. I wasn't called Edo as a kid, right?
Oh, okay.
My name was Eddie as a little kid.
Eddie.
I lived
Eddie.
in Japan,
I like that.
and
Oh.
Eduardo is like not.
But they know the word Edo. Like they're
Yeah.
they're like that's a real thing.
So I could actually write, like, if you're a gaijin, a foreigner in Japan, you have to use hiragana, or katakana rather, like the phonetic, but like comic book phonetics for your name.
Right.
But since I could do Edo, I would do it in kanji for the Edo period.
Yeah.
And it confused
That's
everyone.
right.
What is this?
I
What
am
are you?
from
Who are
the
you?
ancient past.
Yeah.
I am a spirit of vengeance.
Well, and Bada is rose, and Fu is like way of.
sure.
It's like way of the rose. It was cool.
Yeah,
it
no,
was a
that's
good time. Good time.
It's good.
Nice.
I'm surprised you ever left.
Indeed. I'm surprised.
sent
Yeah,
me
what are
home.
you
They sent
doing
me home.
here?
Yes. So
Sitting
we,
with you guys. This is like my favorite. I look forward to this.
Oh well, it's nice
What's-
to have
what's
one
that
person
like?
who does.
I haven't been here for like 3 days straight, just sitting at this table talking to people. so.
No, that's true. Would you be though? Like we could arrange
Hands will
that.
shoot up into the air.
So let's talk about some of your games. Herbaceous.
Yeah, well, actually, right now, Herbaceous Sprouts is
Yeah, I was
live
gonna
on
say.
Kickstarter.
Yes, right.
Herbaceous was our Kickstarter 2 years ago,
Right.
and Pencilfirst's biggest game.
Yep, fantastic
and-
game.
Thank you. And so Herbaceous Sprouts, we decided to actually do a dice game. But since
Oh, it's not like an expansion.
no, it's not an expansion.
Okay.
It's totally standalone. It's like in the same world of Herbaceous.
Are you
of herbs.
suggesting
There were a lot of unanswered
It's so
questions.
it's so
suggesting that you have created a setting?
it's a setting. It's an aesthetic, and it's super interesting
Let's
because
talk about what Herbaceous is really about, just in case somebody thinks it's one of the Japanese periods.
No. It's just it's a game of pretty herbs and gardening and all that stuff.
And like, so here's what I really like about Herbaceous. I like looking at it.
That's good.
Now,
Beth
I'm going
Sobel's
to
the artist, by the
contrast
way.
this to a game, and I feel bad for jumping on the designer of this, called Patchwork. which is a
Or
great
the
game.
s'mores game.
No, Patchwork, which is a great game with the most horrendous quilts you could ever imagine looking at. And you just go, wow, I don't want to play that game, right? But you figured out.
I actually think Patchwork looks okay, although
Yeah, I do too.
although I've shown it to people who make quilts, and they're like, that's not what buttons do.
Right. That is true.
The hard thing with Patchwork is it punches you in the face with a negative score the first time you play.
Yeah.
I'm playing it with my wife, and she's like, why did I just get negative 13? I'm like, I don't know.
Because you suck, play again.
Exactly.
So anyway,
Do
back
better.
Herbaceous came out. It was
Yeah.
real good. Now
Real
we have
great.
Herbaceous Sprouts.
Sprouts, and we wanted to actually make a dice game, but Herbaceous is like this ultra lightweight, casual game, and like it would have been like Liar's Dice or something really simple if we had gone for that route.
It's
So we-
interesting that you're pointing at me while you
Well,
say that.
James, a
Because I
dice
think we
game-
all love Liar's Dice.
A dice game is a game with
In which there are dice.
And if there are already 10 in that category, it's just
It's
a genre.
genre.
That's,
That's
right.
right. I got
But so
genred
anyway-
on that too.
Yeah, but in Herbaceous Sprouts, we ended up doing it's a little bit more like a dice board game, because what you're doing is you're drafting dice and then rolling them they become your herbs, your seeds, like the cards in Herbaceous, and you're using them on one community garden rather than your own little pot. So it sort of inverted the gameplay. So rather than own your own things, you're all working on the same one, but it's still competitive because it's like area control. Once you take a spot, it's yours. So you're trying to be
That's
only
how plants do it.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, no.
They own it.
I've lived in the South, that kudzu, man.
Yeah, kudzu it up. Not herbs, as it turns out.
No, not
I
really.
tried mixing them in with some balsamic and
It didn't
just
work out
ate
so
my
well.
house.
Yeah,
That was not good.
Yeah, herbs are very diverse, right? Like what works for one herb isn't going to work
No.
for all herbs,
Right.
right? You learn a lot when you're making a game about herbs. But anyway,
Do you get a lot of herbologists that correct you on your herbaceous game?
on occasion, mostly they just appreciate that it exists.
Right. There's not a lot
But
of
that's how they
herb-based
start the email,
Thank
and then
you
they
for
go,
noticing
but.
that.
Well, it was
I-
really funny in the first when I was making herbaceous. We originally Beth Sobel had done like cinnamon and star anise and things, and I was like, we can't use these because they're spices, and I'm not going to be the guy that puts
Yeah.
the spices in the herb game,
So-
and I don't want that.
No, so we did. So, we
made
did
some more.
Herbs
In
and
the past-
spices do not belong together.
No.
when we made the Pathfinder Adventure card game, we had a card called Monkey, and we're like, oh, I'm a monkey, and so but the artist just put on a chimpanzee
That's not
on
a
the monkey,
That's not a
right?
monkey.
And
They'll
so
fight you with that.
we got a letter from a very concerned zoologist who was like, I think your game is very good, but you're sending the wrong message to the children of today.
Yeah, I got a letter from a patent attorney about U.S. patent number 1, which was
That's
about
not
racing to the day the patent office opens
Right,
to
that's
patent time
not
travel.
technically how time travel works.
No,
is
she
it?
said that's not how the U.S. patent system works.
No, there's no time travel.
I
in
had
it.
to write back and say that's not how time travel works either.
yeah. But yes. Anyway, so I feel your pain.
Yeah. But so it's been great to. It's a really fun space, right? Because these are just really welcoming games that anyone can play, and that's been great.
So what is the difference between an herb and a spice?
Oh man, now you're just gonna start a Jets and Sharks war.
And why aren't there a group of herb girls?
Nice.
Yeah, right.
Well, all wonderful
Herb up
questions.
your life.
Do you want to, generally speaking, the answer to your question?
It's in the
Is-
allium family. Oh.
Yeah, no. It's typically you think of an herb as a leaf,
Okay.
whereas a spice will be a bark or a ground up seed or some component outside the leaf. So saffron is one of the herbs in herbaceous, and like a lot of people have ground up saffron, like the yellow, but you can also have the leafed herb saffron. But it's a fine line. Like
Sure.
that'll get some arguments and debates.
Oh, excellent.
But sometimes you're like, we're done. we're just leaving it alone.
It's okay. I worked on Plants vs. Zombies, and every time we'd put out like this thing affects berries, we'd have to go deep down as to whether this should that affect this guy. How about that? Should that affect this guy?
Look up what actually is a coconut. That's a good
Right,
one. That's a
yes.
good one.
In
for you.
Pathfinder again, we have the plant trait.
Sure.
And we just added mushrooms to the game,
Oh,
and we're
no.
bracing.
You're
we
done.
are bracing
You're
for
done.
that.
I thought I knew what a coconut was. What don't I,
No, you
don't
gotta,
I know?
you gotta look it up, man.
Wow. Okay.
It's a lot of different things at once. It's also like when
It's
you
a
look-
mammal because it has
Oddly
fur
enough,
and it
oddly
gives
enough.
milk.
That's right.
when you look up things like, like is a tomato a fruit or a vegetable, and the answer is like, well, people don't know the answer to this question, so it's both.
Well,
Right.
no, it is a fruit by birth, but a vegetable by an act of Congress.
Yeah, right. It's that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, people don't want to have the same definitions, so they're not gonna.
Right, exactly. And strawberries are not berries; they're accessory fruits.
Accessory
Right?
fruit.
Isn't
They're a
it?
fruit that shows up at a crime
Not
and
accessory
lets it
fruits.
happen.
There is a brilliant
They're
comic.
alibi fruits.
I will show you this brilliant
No.
comic
All right, we're
about
done.
the
We're
berry
done.
the berry
Broken
club.
ball. So,
Accessory fruits.
anything
They're
else you
accessory
want to
fruits.
tell our fans that you're doing at the show?
No, so I'm sharing with Thunderworks and Pencil First Games are sitting together, and we have Sunset Over Water and Legendary Creatures, which came out earlier
Which
this
is so
year.
much fun.
And
I love that game.
yeah, you can pick it up and enjoy it.
Well, Edo Bayruf,
No, well, wow.
it's been
Just
great
all
having
the
you
fun.
on the show.
Just being here, I don't care what you call me. It's cool.
That's right.
It's an honor, honestly.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very
Always a
much.
pleasure, Ed.
Cheers.
See ya.
No, it's
I
true.
was on a panel at KublaCon with Ed and Mad Fantastic, and we were having our typical like that's not a vegetable like that kind of conversation about the gaming industry. And afterwards, somebody in the audience was like, "Are you guys okay?" And we were like,
No,
yeah."
that's not it.
One of you is about to kill the other, isn't
No,
it?
no, that's just what a panel is like.
Yes, exactly. Have you never been to one of these?
Right.
We love each other. This
We
is
love
just what we
to
do.
disagree. Gamers
Right.
are all about the fighting.
Yeah, no, that's what
You understand
want.
entertainment. Conflict is inherent.
Yep.
There is no progress without conflict.
That is absolutely.
There is no
Subscribe to the shark. Always move forward.
The lone
Always
shark.
fighting.
Wait, was that your attempt to get people to hit the subscribe button?
Always biting.
Always
fighting. Always moving forward. Mike Selinker and Lone Shark Games.
We are a
We
shark.
never sleep.
And there's only one of
And
us.
there's only one of us. So we get asked that a lot, right? So
Where did that dumb name come
yeah,
from?
exactly.
You could blame me.
No, so the only thing I blame you for, in some sense, is the Oneaters nature of it, right? So the
what?
The Oneaters. So there's
Is that a
Make your
vegetable
life
or a
easier?
fruit?
no. So there's a
Oneater makes your life
There's a
easier?
movie called That Thing You Do, right? Where
All
the
right.
band is named The Wonders, but one of the guys in The Wonders is very clever and says, like the number one, The Wonders.
Right.
Right? And so they are introduced their first gig as the Oneaters. And it kind of sticks, so they changed their name to The Wonders. And so Trevor just
Ran away.
Ran away because he said, we have guests, and then disappeared completely. So I have no idea what's happening.
I know what's happening.
How do people mispronounce Lone Shark?
They pronounce it
One Shark.
No, they don't.
One Shark?
They
One
don't
Shark.
mispronounce Lone
They
Shark.
misspell it.
Yep.
Yes.
So, yeah,
They misspell it like the common phrase Lone Shark,
indeed.
in much the same ways they might have misspelled Beatles if you could Google things
Well,
in
I think
1955.
The idea
That's
behind
right.
The Wonders was obviously the same as the Beatles.
Right.
That they, yes. Hey, Marie. Yes, we're about to be joined by two new guests. Who
By
are
last year's Marie.
By
Marie.
last year's intern.
last year's Marie. Marie. Yeah, I don't need this. You're out.
I do.
Marie,
I
could you,
do.
could you fix the pop screen on your mic? It's gonna on your mic.
Oh,
it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
off center. There you
Disaster.
go. It is a complete disaster.
Yeah, longtime listeners of the broadcast.
I
will
think that's
know-
better.
Will know
You're
that
good. You're
our
good.
one of our next guests as the Wrangler, the pre-Trevor, as we're starting to call you,
Oh
of
dear!
the show.
How quickly we forget.
Yes, Marie Poole, former
Intern.
intern and chief executive officer of Lone Shark Games, but also intern.
Hello.
Yes, and wearing your Gamma shirt, looking snazzy.
Gamma proud. Gamma proud.
Gamma proud.
Right.
Gamma and proud.
Hashtag Gamma
So
proud.
whenever I'm going to say something inappropriate, I'll just be like this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I do.
So just sit like that the whole time.
I know, right?
And we're also joined by Kat Tobin of Pelgrave Press.
Hello.
Hello,
again,
Kat.
Kat.
Always classing up our show as usual.
Yeah. My classy beer, my classy, drunken Irishness.
Oh my gosh, I'm just going to be quiet the whole rest of the time.
No, it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
My,
It's
my
gonna be
wife has an Irish accent when drunk.
great. When drunk.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
true, she does. And Maria, I forgot to mention, you are also the Chief Operating Officer?
Chief Executive Officer.
of Fire Opal.
And partner of Fire Opal
Yes,
Games. That's right.
I knew I'd blow it.
We are rebranding from Fire Opal Media to Fire Opal Games. Yeah.
You're going to do some
Oh, I got
games
your
then?
email about that secret thing we're not supposed to.
Oh, shoot.
Never
you
mind.
ruined it.
Damn.
Forget I said
You're
it.
I'm gonna
You
have to
can't
kill
fire-
you now.
You can't fire me.
I'm gonna have to kill you,
You
now.
can't fire me till you pay
I know
me.
where you live.
No,
and
that actually-
fire is in my company's name.
I want to be very clear. That logic has never held. You
Oh, I can. We'll have that conversation later. I'm not paying you for that thing.
Okay, fair enough.
You guys are so classy. You're also a charging station.
Yeah,
That's
very
so
good.
great.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
nice.
connect that to nothing. That connects to nothing.
That's how we get people on the show.
If you'd like to plug into my computer, now I have all your data.
We promised them 15 minutes of charging.
It's the only way we can get them on.
I'm still trying to get through all your data.
I have no problem giving you all my data. You'll never read it.
No, it's very clear. It's been established. It is a fact. It is known. So, Kat, what are you doing at the show this fine week?
So I'm here with the Pelgrane Press booth, and we are selling all the things, which is great. But the main thing that we're selling all of, and are very close to being sold out of, which is super exciting, is Fall of Delta Green, which is Delta Green using the gumshoe system.
Awesome.
So as written by Ken Height, and as beautifully illustrated and cohesively designed by Jen McCleary.
Yeah.
Very, very excited
We're
about
big
that.
Delta Green fans over here, so
Yeah,
looking forward to
so
that.
are we over here as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, we like it a lot. So the kind of gumshoe and Delta Green mix is like a dream for us.
That sounds really great.
Yeah.
Sounds great. And what's up with Fire Opal at the show?
Fire Opal is not at the show.
You are too.
Marie Poole, Gamma XVP. I'm not
X?
VP anymore. Yes, as of tonight. I was just. I did
Booted.
not. I did not run. Anne Marie DeWitt is now the VP.
Has that meeting transpired?
We just came from
What
it.
else happened at that meeting?
I am also. I'm
Hold
now
on.
an at-large member of the board. Yes. So I came here for board function, but I did also happen to squeeze in a meeting with my lovely publisher, Pelgrane Press, of 13th age, and yes, so we had a nice meeting, and I got to meet Simon for the first time, and he has
sorry.
really good hair. He's got really good hair.
Very good hair.
What I've mostly seen you at is the customer survey person.
Oh yeah. So
I've been-
Origins and intern just seems to be synonymous for me. So yeah, John actually had a really great idea for data collection. I think I might have some of the longer lines than any other of the other booths. At 9 o'clock this morning, the line started, and the booth doesn't open till 10. And I actually had to cap the line at like 10:05
For a survey.
Yeah, for a survey, because we're giving away a free game. So,
Oh, I see.
so we've gotten a lot of participation, and we're getting some good data collection, and which is
Wait, your data's skewed to people who like games. We've
And
already
who like
that.
filling out
yeah,
surveys.
no,
That's terrible.
that's terrible. That's going to totally corrupt your data.
I know, it's terrible.
So I'll have to fix that for
So
you by
I-
adding some people who don't. I've got a number of them online I'd like to introduce you to.
So for consumers, I know Origins is a consumer show, but it actually is a show put on by the Game Manufacturers Association, and one of the things that we are trying to do is provide more benefit to our members, and data we've been hearing from retailers and publishers alike, more data. So.
Any data.
Oh yeah,
Any
okay,
data.
any data, that's fair. So.
What?
Of an
What?
important
No,
message.
breaking news.
Breaking news.
I'm getting. Look, Trevor's not only sending me text, he's sending me pieces of paper.
Do we get to like do the
Yeah. No, he just wants to know when we're going to stop talking because we talk too much.
We do.
Should we start talking slower? Like
No,
the
that's not
sloths?
helpful.
That
no.
will be the worst possible.
So we're going to start editing out the pauses.
Live.
Live. Editing out means I just nudge Paul.
Oh, yeah, nice.
That's
How's it
basically
going?
Fire Opal is going to be having a Kickstarter fairly soon. Well, it's Fire Opal
Nice.
and Arc Dream. We're doing a card game, another Rob Hainso card game called WrestleNomicon. It's
Rob.
really
That's
cool.
Rob.
That's
It's
Rob.
Cthulhu versus Hoster.
Also Rob.
For this, yep. And
Sorry, you're not allowed to say that
I'm not.
name. No.
What name? What
Oh
name?
man, I just can't believe you're going to bring around the edge of the universe simply because you don't know what names not to say.
You better be careful how you edit
So
that
you guys all
Kickstarter
need
video.
to know that I'm going to get unnecessarily harassed because Mike's also my big brother.
Also true.
It's
But
true, yeah.
but I mean this is
Don't
This
you
is
know
the
the
sort
world?
of treatment everyone gets.
yes.
Oh, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Mike's like everyone's
Everybody
big
rolls
brother.
with disadvantage when
Yeah,
Mike's around.
That's right.
That's nice.
No,
I
that's
like-
not true.
I like that.
My big brother is actually one of the coolest people.
Aww.
And you guys have a lot of awesome games. Okay, that's the thing that's happening for me is I'm getting to bask in the glow of Lone Shark Games' success this
Oh, I see,
this
yes.
week
It's been a
because
good week.
I did actually get to have a big part of the box design.
No,
of
it was good.
Ninth
The
World.
Ninth World box, I mean, okay, the game's pretty good too, so we're going to go
whatever.
for the moment. But the Ninth
I hear
World
it's all
box
happening in the box.
has been
Right.
turning heads the whole convention. People
Yeah.
have been like, wait, what's that?
Yeah.
It's pretty much all we talk about on podcasts.
Well,
when
it's
we
really
bring it.
interesting because I
Yeah.
took it to trade shows, like I don't know, like the different distributor shows, and when it was in the setup box, didn't get a lot of questions. But as soon as we put it in that roll box, nobody wanted to talk about anything else.
No, it's
so
great.
Right.
It's great.
Um,
So anyway, Kat, I'm talking
Yes.
too much.
no, not too much.
Hey, there's Ken right there.
Yeah, no, he's going to be on the show.
All right.
We'll get him
Yeah.
on if we
Yeah,
have time.
It's okay. Ken will talk.
He does
will
talk. He
That
does
is-
talk.
That is.
So,
I can trust that he will talk.
any other things you wish to tell our listeners about?
I am really excited about a thing that we're playtesting at the moment, which is the Knights Black Agents adaptation of our Gumshoe 1-to-1 system.
Nice.
So our 1-to-1 system is for one GM and one player. So it's kind of the only kind of trad game that I know of that's doing that two-player kind of thing. So we've already done a kind of a Cthulhu Mythos Noir one, and this is Knights Black Agents adaptation.
That sounds delightful.
So yeah, so we're playtesting that at the moment. So all of the details are on our website if anyone's interested in checking that out and getting involved.
And that website is?
That website is www.pelgrainpress.com.
Excellent. Anything else Fire Opal wants to mention?
One of the things I want to say is, I wasn't planning on getting another job after I left Loan
No,
Shark.
most people don't. That's what
I mean, for a while, because I am going to actually be also pursuing a master's degree starting in August, so I was thinking I would just maybe consult part-time or whatever for a while, and I was recruited by Fire Opal. One of the most attractive parts of that was getting to work with Kat Tobin at Pelgrim Press, because 13...
Look, I've seen everybody at Fire Opal. Kat Tobin is definitely the most attractive part.
So, 13th Age is our property that is
so good.
published by Pelgrim. It's really good. I've actually been playing it. Rob is running a game for me so I can get to know the property, and it's really fun. I actually love my character, and I'm kind of intimidated by role-playing games, to be honest. They kind of scare me, and I feel really comfortable with that system. And I'm really excited because they're just such great people, and they talk so pretty.
They do talk.
And we have to get in a plug as well for 13th Age Garantha. Should be
That's
available
right,
at
which is just coming
Gen
out.
Con. So yeah, so that's a kind of a joint thing that we can both kind of talk about.
That's right. That Pelgrim and Chaosium and Fire Opal all work together to get 13th Age of Glorantha out, and you can buy it on the Pelgrim website when it becomes available, and it should be out very soon. It's on the boat right now, and it'll ship to backers. There is a PDF already available. You can pre-order it through Pelgrim, and you will get your you'll get a full credit for your. Am I saying this right? You say how that works.
So we're selling the pre-order of the print book, and you get the PDF for free with that.
That's right.
That's how it's working on our website.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, thank you both for making this just a bright and joyous podcast.
Wow.
I mean, quite honestly, this is... You can see what I have to
This
work
is like the nicest thing my brother said to me in like 8 years.
Well, you don't work for me.
And also for like mixing up the diversity of the table as
Yeah,
well.
I've been thinking about trading at least one of these jokers out.
Yeah.
So
I think that would make an excellent addition to this crowd.
Let's be clear. I'm going to be doing it with a raccoon, I'm sure. And by that I mean, wait, that's
The raccoon.
I was going to say,
Is it gonna be like Rocket? Because
the
he's so
famous
fun.
raccoon. No, the Toronto Tower climbing, or
Oh,
Minnesota
St. Paul.
Tower.
That's part of the United States.
Toronto, Minnesota, no difference.
Same to me.
It's all across the pond.
It's all across the water.
It's the
Right.
colonies.
I should get
We're all
offended
just
about that, but I
colonies.
won't because I'm the bigger man.
Weren't ever our...
Yeah, by
Ireland
a good
was
like
never
6 inches.
our boss.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, that's-
Ireland
yeah,
never
all
owned
right.
the United States.
That's fair.
All right. Well, I'm going to explain.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you both. I'll explain what Cthulhu word you're not ever allowed to say again later.
Yeah, I guess so. I need my big brother to guide me. Please.
Very helpful.
Wait, Mike. Please explain it to me.
That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to Mike explain it to you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Oh man, thank God they're gone. That's just nerve-wracking. Oh no, damn! Oh wow! Oh, thank God they're
We
gone.
didn't catch
that
that.
was
What did she
just
say?
nerve-wracking.
All right, it's over.
Hi.
So we
Hi.
got past a note that says we have 7 more guests.
Yeah, I don't know how we're
and
gonna
they're-
get them all
And
in,
they're
but we're
showing
gonna
us a
try.
flag that says that they want to quit. So what should we do
No,
about
we
this?
keep going. We keep
we
going.
keep going,
Well,
but we
power on.
But
It's
we
up to the people who
go-
actually make us.
We go quickly.
We're gonna move. We're gonna move. We're gonna move.
Okay, it's like speed guesting.
Yeah, speed guess.
Speed guesser. Bring them on 6 at a time.
6 at a time.
They can all just cluster around.
Bring
each
somebody
shout,
on.
Each shout out their
Anytime.
team. Trevor.
You know, for somebody who's in a hurry to get out of here.
It's really funny that Trevor perhaps is the most demanding of the post-Marie showrunners that we've had.
He is the only post-Marie
Yes,
showrunner.
but it is getting a little...
Joining us now.
Joining us now. Oh, sorry. My apologies. It's Kathleen Mercury.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. We're going to switch tones a little bit here, I think. Tell us,
Something really aggressive and angry.
No.
Oh, okay.
Little speed metal.
Yes.
Yes.
Because we're going to talk about the kids.
Oh, they're so cute.
Are we going to talk about the kids?
Yeah, my amazing badass 7th graders.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right, so explain, I know a little bit about this, but for the benefit of my other hosts and thus the world,
Yes.
they're kind of the audience surrogates here.
Hi.
Quite.
Please explain.
Except there's 2 of us.
Yeah, I know. Please explain this situation.
So I teach middle school gifted kids, and I'm always interested in having my students do work where about 10% is knowledge that comes from me and 90% is their output. And so over 10 years ago, I started having my kids design games. I've made a ton of mistakes over the years.
Oh,
but-
I know something about that.
Right. But then, so now 10 years later, I counted up, and I've published almost 500 games. I mean, in terms of like photos and descriptions on
Sure.
Geek List, but on BGG. So that's a lot of games that I've had come through my door, come out of my door, and it's just a pure game design class. They spend a lot of times playing games. They, develop a concept for a prototype. They develop the prototype. We go through 4 cycles of iteration in terms of playtesting, feedback, prototype development. They write rule books, and then when we put them out on BGG, we share them with the world. It's
This
so
is
cool.
crazy.
Yeah.
I think this is so cool. So much to unpack on this one, right?
Yeah.
So,
Well, one thing for you is when I've had kids actually repeat my class because they love it so much, I have to kind of deal with them separately than the rest.
Sure.
So I've assigned the Kobold book to game design.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and when I've presented to other teachers about teaching game design, I say if you buy any book, this is the only one you need. True story.
I'm working on it.
True story.
what? No. Look, you're not gonna do
He looks
better.
at me. He looks at me knowing
No.
that I need to write a book.
Look.
No, we all
specifically
need to
for your
rewrite that
class.
book.
James.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
James,
Lots
just
of memes in it.
because
They'll be
you
all over
do
it.
need to write a book about game design does not mean it will be better than the Kobold guy.
No.
That is not my
That
point.
information alone is insufficient.
Yes, exactly.
It needs more pictures.
Well, yeah, there wasn't a lot of
I'm
there,
gonna
was
That's a
make.
joke. That's
No,
a
so
joke.
I'm
the
gonna make
Kobold guide,
pictures in my
the
book.
Kobold,
All index fingers
No,
waving
picture
in the
book.
air.
the Kobold guide has 2 pictures in it. The first is Andy Looney's "How I Design a Game"
Flowchart.
flowchart,
And that's incredibly
which
helpful.
is unbelievably bizarre
It's the
and clearly
curriculum model for my class.
done under the influence of game design.
Yeah.
And-
That's what that's
uh-huh.
what the tie-dye
Yes,
signifies.
and then Rob Davio's Jenga chart, which is how it's a flow chart that goes put in brick, did tower collapse, otherwise go back to the top.
Right.
Right. So that's every game has a process.
Yeah.
That one.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Jenga is our model for game design. We keep taking rules out until it collapses.
indeed.
And then we start over.
Start over. Yeah. Come up with something better.
Like,
Shouldn't have
well,
collapsed. Okay, so let's unpack a couple of those things.
Okay.
So let's start with confidence.
Yeah.
So does working on a game help kids become more confident or scare them or what?
Well, I teach middle school gifted kids.
Yeah.
And so for a lot of my kids, and I think anyone can design a game, but that's just the population I work with.
we
most-
don't.
Most of my kids have never failed at anything at school
Oh,
ever
I
before.
see.
So what I really do, I mean, they learn a lot of technical aspects of games and gaming, but what I do is I teach kids how to fail. I don't think I'm always successful in teaching them how to see success and incremental success.
Right.
But I feel like if I don't give them this opportunity to struggle and to understand that if they really want something that's going to be hard and frustrating and maybe you won't get there, but hopefully they develop the confidence to take on other challenges or to keep designing games, that's what I really want to do. But I teach kids how to fail.
I assume that this involves not mollycoddling, right? They produce something bad, you tell them it's bad.
Oh yeah. Well, and the best part is they
well,
play.
the students play each other's games and
Yeah.
tell them how bad they
Oh,
are.
interestingly.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
but when they give each other feedback, it's 4 categories: what works, what needs improvement, what new ideas they have, because they want to tell them, well, this is what you need to do, this is what they need to do, and they throw out all kinds of ideas, and they're so good at coming up with really novel, innovative ideas. Everyone should have gifted 7th graders play tester games, really and truly, because when
You'll
the
be
best
receiving a package in the mail next week.
That's fine.
7th graders?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
you can
sorry.
ship those. You got to have the
I
right
see.
size holes in them.
Yeah, that's or scorpions.
No, because I've got a game, dexterity game that I'm working on with Colossal, and one of the best, most important developments that's happened in the last however many months was one kid saying, hey, what if you did this and this? And I just looked at him, I said, I don't even need to play test it. That's going in. And it's worked every single time, and people love it. And it was just because a kid just saw some possibility that I hadn't even thought of, and it was right in front of me.
I love that you teach kids to fail and also use phrases like, that doesn't even need to be play tested. that doesn't worry me at all, just so you know, Kathleen.
Oh, well, when you teach 7th grade middle schoolers, you're riding the dragon every day. You can't be safe about this. What are you talking about? Yeah, but the funny thing is the 4th category, and this was in my presentation, and this was in my presentation before James gave his, was the 4th category is, did you feel like a blank? Did you feel like a pirate? So both of us had that in there, and as far as like how important it is to get the game to feel like what you want it to be, and and the kids get really fussy if someone like filled out their feedback form but didn't bring it in. They're like, "Where's my feedback? You need to give me my feedback." So the fact that I've got kids yelling at each other because they haven't brought feedback in, I do a lot of things wrong in my short, violent life, but I think that one's okay.
That sounds really good.
I like this Lord of the Flies approach to teaching. I think it's
well,
pretty good.
Speaking of Lord of the Flies, when I put the games up on Board Game Geek,
it's even worse.
Oh,
yeah, it's even worse.
Oh, some kids
right,
get
so that was the
tons
second
of
thing.
likes and tons of comments, and other kids get far less.
I gotta know this though. When you put it up on Board Game Geek, do you tell people it's designed by a 7th grader?
Yes.
Does that color their feedback?
Yeah, but it's got to cushion the blow, right?
It might. It might.
Does it?
Absolutely. Well, so I design a lot of games, and I put them up on Board Game Geek and say they were designed by a 7th grader,
Right.
and then everybody likes it.
I don't know that it would cushion
You
the
know
blow.
what? Honestly,
I think it does.
they really don't get a lot of like really critical feedback. They'll get people asking lots of questions about what they think, but they don't get people. I've never really had anybody say this is the absolute worst idea I've ever heard. I've had some inappropriate comments. I had a fight break out one time in the comments because someone corrected a kid about how honey is made by bees.
Oh, I can't tell you how many fights I've gotten
Right?
into over that.
But one guy said, now go punch a baby and your domination of children will be complete. They loved it. I don't encourage that, but my
Man,
kids...
school is different.
School is hard.
I remember school differently.
Yeah, but I want to say that all of my game design teaching resources I put on my website, the very imaginatively named KathleenMercury.com, completely for free. Everything is just because when I started teaching game design, it was really hard to find stuff that I could use with kids at that level, and I just want other people to do it. I present at conferences and all that good stuff, but it's all there for free. Semester plus of work, all for everybody. Google Docs.
This is so good. I mean, like, there's so many things about this that make me smile. So
Yeah, well, we need more game designers, obviously. Well, no, not enough. No.
Obvious. It's obvious here.
But I have every.
Look, we're not gonna live that much longer.
Right.
We should be.
Hey, I'm going to live longer. I'm not going to work that much longer.
No, that's what's not work mean.
Yep, see?
I don't know those words.
That explains
I know
it.
all the words you said, but still have no idea what you meant.
It's amazing. Everything you said is wrong.
Yeah. Oh, very nice.
Kathleen is stalking me.
Why?
She was talking about us lecturing, and it wasn't here, but it was last weekend in Salt Lake City.
Oh, man, everybody was at this show.
Well, just the two of us, I think.
Oh, wow.
Just us and
Well, that
some
really
flowers,
is
and
stalking.
Oh my God,
we
we were
ate a
laughing
couple
our
of hamburgers and went home again.
Yeah.
To find oxygen.
Right.
Right.
He was having a real hard time.
And there was a non-zero chance of me actually carpooling here with her because they drove home by way of
You drove here from Salt Lake City?
St. Louis and
Yeah.
Yellowstone.
Yeah. So the night before the conflict, so Saturday night was
The
like basically the end of the conflict was over, and so in the morning
What
I
did
had
I miss?
I had lunch with the lovely Jeffrey Engelstein. Maybe you've
Yes,
heard of
we
him.
love Jeffrey.
We love Jeffrey.
We love
And
Jeff.
then after that, it's like, what are we gonna do? And another presenter of the conference, Theo Strempel, geeky gamer guy, he and his partner partner. We're going to go up to Yellowstone. And Adrian and I are like,
Yeah,
let's
roll
go
in.
with them.
Roll in.
So literally, we drove up to Yellowstone, went through Yellowstone, and then did a 26-hour drive back to St. Louis so we could wash our clothes and leave the next morning for Origins.
Road movie. That
yeah.
sounds
So
awesome.
James is going to go next
Yeah,
year.
that's right.
We're going to do I think Bryce Science, but we'll see.
I'm
Who
still going
knows?
to tell Gamma you're flying in, though, just so you know, just so I can collect the paycheck.
Oh, nice. I hadn't thought of that also.
Yeah. So anyone who wants to go to the Tabletop Network road trip to Origins, please contact James
Caravan.
Ernest.
Care of this station.
Care of this station.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
Kathleen, thank you so much for coming on and telling us about this. This is
Absolutely.
amazing.
You're so welcome. I mean, and really, truly, your book's been incredibly helpful, not just for my kids, but for me as well. So thank you guys for everything you did.
Sometimes it's good to hear my advice without actually having to hear me say it, because I mean, really, that only hurts the presentation.
Right.
So-
Yeah, I understand. I just want to say, if people want to find me on social media, I'm at Mercury with 7 M's. It's usually the best way to.
Oh, perfect.
Mercury.
So, so they're all at the front then.
Yeah.
Mercury.
Well, I did choose my last name, and it is, a toxic element that rots brain tissue. So I teach
Nice.
children, and it's appropriate.
Perfect.
But it's
Excellent.
liquid at room temperature, and that's good.
Yeah. Oh, it's fun to play with. Oh, yeah, it's great. I mean, I'm great.
Thank you, Kathleen.
You are so welcome. Thanks. This was so fun.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, we're not that smart.
No.
Not all three of us together
Yeah,
are
no.
even stupider, I think.
No, yeah, we sure showed her.
Mob mentality.
Did we?
No.
I enjoyed teaching, but
Yeah.
I also stopped.
Well,
You did it that once, and it was like,
Once was enough. I showed someone else how to do it and said, "Take it away."
So you
and he has. Woo.
You did that one-on-one teaching, which is I'm leaving.
I
You
had
can do
a class of 70 at
Yes.
DigiPen.
You did.
In the
whom
class
I
of
did
70?
not recognize afterwards.
Yes. Yes, but you gave half of them to Bo. Then you gave all of them.
No.
Yeah, no, to Jeremy. Jeremy
Oh,
has
to
that
Jeremy,
class.
sorry, Jeremy.
Jeremy Holcomb has
Yeah,
that
right.
class.
I think they were probably all gone by the time Bo started.
Yeah. Most things are. Anyway,
I can
hey.
barely hear. I can barely hear on these.
You can?
Barely,
They'll
yeah.
fix that.
Just
They'll-
trust.
Okay,
You're
just
coming
let
in,
them.
you're coming in
They'll
audio.
Come
we'll
on.
blast you out. Just hold this. It's Matt Hyra
Hi.
from
Hello.
Cryptozoic Games.
And Seattle.
And
In general.
Well,
Once
we
upon
hang
a time.
Yeah, a long time ago.
You know,
used to hang out.
Maybe.
We don't see
I'm
you
gonna
hardly.
put this over here a little.
Yeah,
Is
do
that
it.
There you
cool?
go.
No, it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I can still barely hear you, but that's all right.
That's weird.
I can
Well,
read your lips. So.
They're gonna come over and like tap the side of your cans.
Hello.
No, I
could
don't
use
mean
a
your
little of
I
that.
don't mean your headphones.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay, next.
So welcome to the show, Matt.
Thank
we always
you.
love having you.
Excellent.
What is up with Cryptozoic here at this show?
And
Sure.
you.
Oh, we'll
And
get to
me.
you.
We'll get to me. Excellent.
sure.
Let's get the business out of the way.
Yeah.
Sure.
Then party in the back.
That was related to the thing before, but anyway. Okay, so the new stuff at Cryptozoic, that's a little bit better. There we go. Is one of my games, the Rick and Morty Rick's Must Be
Yes.
Crazy multiverse
Oh,
game.
So cool.
It is if you've seen the show, you already know how to play the game.
Oh, great.
So yes, you're basically, it's kind of an engine building game, and you're building contraptions to power up, like Rick's spaceship and chafing dishes, taxis, the usual things from the show. And you also need power, so you build power supplies, which are cheaper to build if you gift them down a level, because that's kind of the whole premise of the show in the first place. The problem is you don't actually own the power supplies after you build them, so anyone can have access to that power. So there you go. Another new one, we have 2 preview games, just preview sales. They'll actually be out in about a month. One is Wallet, if you've heard of this. It's a game that's completely contained within a wallet. And the premise of the game is you are at a party in a high rise at a mob boss's penthouse, and the cops surround the place. He gets away on a helicopter but drops his wallet. Everybody at the party, the 2 to 7 players that is, need to rifle through the wallet to find plausible IDs and enough currency to kind of buy their way out of the predicament, but not too much because that would be suspicious.
Yeah, you don't want to steal too
Right.
much from the wallet you stole.
That's right. That's right. So there are lots
Wow, I love this
yeah,
game.
there's lots of different IDs in there. The most basic is kind of a John Smith average ID, where you can't have more than one ID and you can't have more than 2 types of currency.
Sure.
There's 4 different types of currency in there, and you start out with a random hand of 5. So as the game goes on, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. I don't have an ID. So you reach in the wallet, grab a random card, and hope to get lucky. If you don't get so lucky, you can buy one, but it costs a lot to do
What
that.
does the wallet look like?
The wallet, well, remember high school?
Yeah.
Looks like that, except
Okay.
a little bigger. Yeah, it's vinyl. It's not vinyl. It's
faux
yeah.
leather.
Yeah, it's kind of a
Leather.
cruddy looking wallet, but
Yeah.
it's big. It holds all the cards. It's I forget what what's
Oh my
made
God.
out of.
That
but
sounds so much
something
fun.
Chinese.
Sounds so much fun.
Yeah. Right. So then the other one is the other preview is the DC Comics deck building game crossover number 7, The New Gods.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
I want to play the Black Racer.
Yeah, he's not actually.
Damn
in
it!
there.
I wanted to start. I wanted to. I reached for as far as I could go into the New Gods
Right.
to see if I could hit something that was.
He
just
almost made the cut, but yeah.
Oh.
It's the first
Calabac?
crossover.
Do I get Calabac at
Yes,
least?
Calabac.
Okay.
Calabac's not only a playable supervillain, but he's also a card in the deck. So,
Okay, all right.
It's the first crossover where you have superheroes and supervillains that you can play as. And instead of attacking supervillains like a normal game, you actually are attacking the opposing homeworld.
Oh,
So
yes.
if you're a bad guy,
Can I-
you're attacking New
can I
Genesis. If
attack
you're a good guy, you're attacking Apocalypse.
Do I blow up Apocalypse?
You most certainly can.
Oh, I want to
You
play
most
this so
certainly
much.
can.
Does
Keep
Darkseid
in
come
mind-
in and just wipe the board with me?
He does. One thing about the New Gods is because they're so godlike, they're super. The character you play as has an ability that doesn't tend to be great early on, but once you get going, it goes godlike. You know, so there you go.
Super fun.
Yeah, and then a little more business. So next month I've got the Pickle Rick game
Yes.
is coming
If
out,
that-
and that is
Pickle Rick.
contained
So
in a
you
in a
could not have-
12-inch pickle.
You
so.
could not have said anything that would make Paul more happy.
Really?
Yeah. So I was going to have a Pickle Rick game coming out in June, July, and August, but Cartoon Network kind of pumped the brakes a little bit, and reasonably so. So my other game for the year, my other Rick and Morty game for the year is the Rick Shank Redemption, which
Nice.
is the deck building game kind of sequel, which will be out a little later in the year now. So
You
there
have
it goes.
made a career out of adapting other people's properties, but you have really been on a bender with
It's
Rick
not
and
too
Morty.
bad, although yeah, not too bad.
You
Yeah. We did, a ridiculous first print run on Rick's Must Be Crazy.
Yep.
So more than most games get printed after their third print run.
Right.
So
No,
anyway.
it was amazing. It was amazing.
Speaking
made
of
the
print
right
runs,
decision, yeah.
speaking of, and 70 more episodes on the way. So
Right.
for me, that's 70 more games.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Because
I
I
know.
make a game an episode.
Absolutely.
Speaking of games, congratulations on Thornwatch.
Yeah, we were very happy to help.
It's awesome. And I also have to thank you for the shout out in the rulebook.
Oh, you
because myself, Corey Jones, Cryptozoic, Ben McCool, Rob Momartz.
I tried to get everybody in. If I missed anybody, I feel bad.
Well, we recognized that Lookouts was going to be an awesome thing. The world of Thornwatch is set in, and we got the comic book going. And I even pitched some games.
Yeah.
Played my role-playing game with the guys up at Penny Arcade. They
Yep.
loved it, but never came to be.
No,
You guys
but
picked it up and ran
but it
with
was
which great.
influential on us, and
Yeah.
we very much appreciate it. We also like the comic book.
Awesome.
And but yeah, no, I mean, I carry a little bit of Matt Hyra with me everywhere I go.
Don't we
Great.
all?
I don't know what that means, but it's great. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it sounds like it's been a really
Banner
good
year for you.
It's been a really good.
It's good. It's been a great one. Yeah. And actually, one other little thing I'm working on is a digital deck building game called Shards, the Deck Builder.
Oh.
Nothing to do with the Justin Gary.
Not Shards of Infinity.
No, not Shards of Infinity.
There
Just
are more.
so happened.
You can break a lot of things.
Yeah,
Right.
so many
Infinity is one of
Many
only
things.
one of many things you can break.
Yeah, right.
Although it does encompass all things.
Infinity.
So that's
Right,
that's
right.
kind of a problem. You'll figure it out.
Indeed.
You'll figure it out.
So that one's fun. That should be out in about a month or so.
Oh, wow,
It's digital deck builder. It's a fantasy setting, so kind of using some of our engine, but then putting a digital spin on it as well. So
That's very cool.
What platforms is that coming out on?
that'll be a bunch of them. Yeah, a bunch of them.
Oh,
I
all
don't-
right,
I'm
all
not-
right.
I-
We'll
I
look
don't-
for it
I
everywhere.
don't
Do you know the
program.
platforms? It'll be
Yeah.
there.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. Good to
some
know.
of those, some of those things.
All right.
Yeah, very cool.
And things are going well down at Cryptozoic otherwise? Things are good? Everything's good?
They seem to be
Life's
going
good?
Seem to be going well. They fixed the air conditioning.
Nice.
So that's good.
Nice.
You know, it breaks down every summer. Sort of every summer, so it's all good. Can I give a shout out to someone who's actually watching live?
Yes.
All
It's
right.
my wonderful girlfriend, Kristen.
Oh.
She's out there. Hi.
Hello.
Cool. You can cut me off so that you guys can finish like 3 minutes earlier than you would have otherwise.
Yeah,
So-
okay.
'cause that was just kind of- okay.
Yeah, that's
I think that pretty much ends it.
that's
Yeah,
probably
thank
it
you.
then.
Cool.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
Excellent.
You
Thank
guys
you.
are good.
Good
Thanks for
seeing
coming on our
everybody.
show.
Pleasure, sir.
Paul, James.
Wow, you ever
Excellent.
see a guest want to leave so much?
So you guys probably ought to tell me to leave now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, in all honesty, I think actually kind of resented being here.
He looked happy to be here, but
No,
he did
yeah.
seem a little forced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe,
So
once
what's
he was
our
staring
answer
at
here?
you when he
They're-
said that.
They're showing us we're overtime, I think.
We're way over. We're going to keep going.
We're gonna
We're
keep,
gonna
but
keep
we're
going.
gonna keep going.
We're
Okay.
going to keep going because
Uh,
tomorrow night is full too.
Yep.
All right.
We're going to keep going. We're just going to power through, guys. We're going to power.
Power through.
Yeah.
We're cutting no one.
Well, I don't know. We're probably cutting people by them walking
By
away.
them walking off and saying,
yeah.
"Screw
That's
this."
basically an attrition process.
Right.
It's a survival.
Who can survive?
It's a survival of the fittest game, and somebody who survived.
A fit survivor joins
Oh, this
us
ought to
now.
be great. This ought to be great. No, I can't wait. Can't wait.
I think
this is going to be good.
I-
No.
She is familiar
no.
with these problems.
She's
though.
gonna have to do the Ken St. Andre.
Okay.
No,
so
it worked for her.
she-
Totally
Wow,
worked
it
for
is working.
it is not surprising that something that didn't work for Ken St. Andre
Is
worked
working
on
for
Brittany
Brittany,
Bowe. Yeah. It looks good.
I'm determined.
No,
Oh,
it
yes,
looks good.
perfect.
It's Bebo.
Hi.
Hi.
So yeah, one of our guests before tried to put those headphones over a cowboy hat, and it failed
Not
epically.
good.
We
But
see now that it was his fault.
yes.
Yeah, pro tip: gardening hats over cowboy hats.
Oh,
Yeah, that's
Yes,
how you
every
do
time.
it. That's how you do it.
In the Old West, actually, that happened a lot too.
Yeah, no, they tended to win out in the gunfights because
That's why Clint Eastwood hates cans.
yes,
Oh.
he's an angry man when it comes to cans.
Produce.
God, how many movies did I reference in one joke?
Oh,
It's
so
good.
many.
No, it's
so
good.
many.
I'm not getting any of these jokes.
No.
You're old.
That's because they were all way before you were born.
Unforgiven's not before she was born.
Mhm.
One of those parts was Unforgiven.
We'll talk later.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
so all right. What is up with you at this show?
Well, I'm running around taking pictures, talking to people, and more importantly, hanging out in the Steve Jackson Games booth, demoing games to people that want to learn them, specifically Munchkin CCG.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a
big-
good gig.
Giant, big, new Munchkin. Everybody seems to be involved in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Eric Lang, Kevin Wilkinson.
Yeah. Everybody you've ever heard of is working on this game. Not us, but everybody else.
Everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Mostly because kids have been super into it, and so seeing like a 7-year-old start out the game and then it dawns on them halfway through that they're going to crush their parents
Oh,
is
perfect.
truly one of the greatest joys in
Yeah,
life.
you should have seen my daughter's look when she figured out she was going to crush her parents.
Yeah.
That was
You're
the
not
day.
talking about the game
Not in a
anymore.
game. No, it wasn't in a game.
No.
But my daughter does crush me in Adventure Time Munchkin quite often. It's one of her favorite games. And,
Yep.
So have you just been behind the booth, just a wall of people, or you've been walking around? What have you been doing?
I've been walking around getting as many pictures as I can of people's booths because
Why that?
my main thing is I love taking pictures of people having fun.
There you go.
And
in fact, I was playing a game with you last night, and like halfway through the game, we're on teams and we're trying to give clues to each other. And
Right.
halfway through the game, I noticed that Bebo's like overtaking
No.
pictures of what we're doing
So
instead of actually
okay,
paying attention.
so in my office, Bebo's gameplay style is discussed quite often, actually. In that, Bebo's a multitasker.
Yes, that
right?
is very true.
There's a very real chance she's live tweeting the game you are playing with her at the moment. Hasn't actually asked if that's okay.
Tell us about your new enterprise, Bebo. What's spinning up this year?
Oh yeah, my new enterprise is Bebold Games. I just
I love
started
it.
up.
I
yeah.
like it. No, it's good. It's
Yeah. I started it up about 4 months ago, but I took 2 months to really focus on what I wanted to accomplish and get the business stuff in order, figure out what taxes are and stuff.
And so many people don't do that and regret it later. So
Yeah, and so I started that, and then 2 months ago I started releasing YouTube videos teaching people how to play board games in about 3 to 5 minutes. Sometimes it's less. Very rarely it's a little bit more, mostly if my daughter's involved because she talks a little slower than me.
And a little
I
more.
met you and your daughter doing a video for Calliope Games, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You were playing Suro, I think.
I believe it was Suro. That's actually still one of her favorite games.
Oh, yeah.
To this day.
Mostly because James was involved.
I was shooting for Ray.
Sure,
I was
sure,
shooting
sure.
video for
Yeah.
Ray.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that at Mock's Boarding House.
That's right.
In Bellevue, which is an incredible, incredible store.
We love those guys. You've done some videos with us. I mean, you've done videos with everybody.
Yeah, we did Apocrypha, which
We
is,
did.
to this day, the most time I've spent editing a video in my entire life.
We got to remove Selinker from this section and this section.
Yeah, taking
Focus
out-
heavily on Liz and Bebo. Liz and Bebo.
We
That's-
just take out all the shots where Mike's talking with his eyes closed, and then
that is
and
all
then-
the shots.
And then we're down to nothing.
That is all the shots.
No, it was a full gameplay video of Apocrypha, which Apocrypha is not the easiest
No.
game to play.
No.
It is incredibly good, but also incredibly complex.
Indeed. Very true.
And it was a great time.
You managed to get us to, get it down to its essence, I think. It was really good.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really good. So, lots of fun. Lots of fun. So what will Be Bold game videos be doing? Like what specific games?
Oh, specific games. Okay, so I've got Rec Raiders coming up. That one I dressed up as a mermaid for.
Nice.
Oh, I
Excellent.
should mention, all of my videos are now featuring full costumes.
Nice.
For
I like it.
absolutely everything. Minus the most recent one I did with Steve Jackson for.
Did you dress up as Steve Jackson?
I wish.
Did you get the Google
should've.
Glass?
You should
because
have.
what he does with his Google Glass is great. It doesn't quite work, so when it bothers him, he just slaps the side of his head. So if you could just do that with him, that would be great.
Unfortunately, it's already recorded. But next time, I'll be cosplaying Steve Jackson at a
I
convention.
like it.
Oh, yeah.
I like it.
And so it's for the fantasy trip, which he's re-releasing.
Okay, yeah. Talk about like something that is targeted solely at an audience of Mike Selinker. The re-release of the fantasy trip could be the most heavily targeted game of all time, because I got to be the only one alive, other than Ken St. Andre, who has played it.
I played it. It was great.
When it
The
was
original one?
real.
Yeah, in 1977, like many years
You
before I was
did
born.
not.
Right.
You are a time traveler.
Do you have proof that I'm not?
No, I guess I don't.
No.
And you would have erased it anyway. So
True.
that's how that works. That sounds cool. What other costumes have you worn?
I
On
was
the
recently a panda. I don't
Oh,
know if
for
you saw
Panda-
that.
For
No, I have
Pandasaurus
not.
games?
For Hidden Panda,
For
which
Hidden
is a game
Panda,
by
the-
Jelly Bean Games.
Oh, I see.
okay.
And it was my first video that I did with the green screen,
Sure.
which I've recently discovered, and I'm doing more of that.
Uh-huh.
So
Ramping
be
it all up.
prepared for
Yeah.
ridiculousness in
That
the
sounds
future.
terribly professional. That's not the kind of thing we would do.
We are terribly professional.
Yeah, we would not do that.
Professionally
We're professionally terrible.
Yes.
Although I think a green screen might work, but only if it was in front of us.
Or we're dressed in green.
Or we were just green.
You can only see the background.
You
Right.
can, you
I think
can dress as your own character in the Island of Dr. Lucky if we ever get
there you
get
go.
that far.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You've seen the picture, but I think you haven't read the flavor text yet.
What is it?
Correct.
She's one of the murderers in the Island of Dr.
Sure.
Lucky.
What's
She's a bit of a stalker, I'm afraid. She's very upset that Dr. Lucky is ignoring her, even though she spends countless hours outside his house.
Right.
Listen, that's the only place that I know the Wi-Fi password to. You shouldn't take it personally. And then I've got WrestleNomicon coming out.
Yes, we're
And
excited about that game.
I love that game so much.
Yep, yep.
So I can't wait for that video to be released.
Well, I can't wait to see all of it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Brittany, for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Watch for the Be Bold videos, Be Bold games.
Be Bold games.
Be Bold Games.
Yeah,
Yep.
Be Bold
Games,
games. That sounds like it'll be a lot of fun.
And we don't make games. for
No,
the
no, no.
record.
We don't.
You just be bold.
We don't either.
We're
Just
just
be
being bold
About
and
games.
talking about games.
Right.
Awesome.
Be Bold games.
Yeah.
Right. It's just. It's not.
I almost called it Be Bold Media, but
No, no, no. You got it right. You got it
okay,
right.
okay. All right. Thank you for
All
having
right.
me on.
Bye, Brittany.
Bye.
I almost said
Watch
bye.
your cans. Watch your cans. There she goes.
Watch your cans.
Well, that's what you call these.
That's what you call these.
Yep.
Sure.
And that microphone cover is a dead cat.
Wow, it really is dying.
Not this one, but
Hold on, I'm
the
gonna reach
fuzzy
over.
kind.
Don't do it. Oh, too late.
I fixed it.
Okay.
So
I fixed it.
I fixed it. All right, who we got? Who we got coming on next?
I
Where's
don't know.
our
We just
Trevor?
lost Trevor.
You know, at some point we need to like
Maybe
give
this-
Trevor a
I
leash.
think our engineering crew is thinking at some point we need to stop.
Yeah,
I think
no,
they're thinking weren't we supposed to
we're
stop?
no, we're supposed to stop right about now, but we're not
Okay,
Because
let them know.
Well, I did. I told it into their ears.
I know.
they can hear it directly.
Sure.
But Trevor has once again disappeared. Oh wait, there we are.
Wrangling. That's what
he's
he
a
was
wrangler,
doing.
is what he is.
Wrangling.
That Trevor. He just keeps disappearing coming back with guests. That's really what I do.
Come on in, join us.
Is Steve joining us? Steve joining us too?
It's not right there.
Steve Ellis.
Right now? At the same time? Double.
Well, that's a total random chance, but pull up to the microphone.
We can have an Ellis off.
Yeah.
And they both live in Portland.
Yes.
Do you guys have your own island?
Put him in
He
too.
does not live in Portland. He lives outside of Portland.
Oh, I
okay,
see.
sure.
All right, so
I forgot there was a turf war going on.
It was. Yeah. Okay. So
East side, west side.
We'll do cyclical Ellises at this point. It's an Ellison.
Oh.
So I tried to get Telethon and Ellison together, and it really kind of
Wasn't happening.
failed out of the gate. So I
Yeah.
apologize to our audience who expects more, really. Jen
we
Ellis.
can't go apologizing for every little thing.
No, not for
That
every
goes
little thing
wrong.
I do. Jen Ellis from Together Games.
Yeah, Together Studios.
Together Studios, my
Yeah.
apologies.
That's okay.
Should have gone with games.
Wow.
It's not too late.
Very critical. I merely
Tell me
fumbled
more
over
about
it.
how I should run my business.
Too Late Studios. No, sorry, it's a running gag. We just had Bebo on. She said we were going to be Bebo Old Studios, but we went with Bebo Old Games.
Yeah.
And you took the other course.
You
That's
just went
all.
the other way.
Oh,
It's a callback. It's
no-
not an inference or
no,
a review.
In general, I do not think it was the best choice for a game company.
Well, so we were
yeah,
just
let me
talking-
tell you about the worst choice for a game company name.
No. We also don't spell our name correctly.
Yeah.
So it
We
works
like
out.
to throw people off in their
Yeah,
search for us
it
on the
works
internet.
out. It works out.
Nobody looks on the internet anymore.
So, Jen.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Hey, no problem.
We should talk about some of your games. We should talk about. I know what I want to talk about.
Please.
I want to talk about Illimat.
Excellent.
So Illimat is my favorite game I played in the year 2016. Just by far.
So before it even came out.
Yeah, I played it at.
Oh, you played it on the boat.
On the maybe that was what it was.
Or did you play it at the World Builders?
It was one of those. Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway.
That was even before, that was a prototype.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Right. And right away, best game I played all year, without any question.
Excellent.
So.
What was the best about it?
Well, there was this guy in a hat, and he was handsome, and that really gets me every
A
time.
lot of people have crushes on that guy.
Yeah, he's
Me
pretty
too.
great. So Keith Baker, who we're
Yes.
describing, the game involves a cloth sort of handkerchief fold-out game
Yep.
board, and a deck of cards that are numbered 1 through 14.
2 through 13, and then there's one card that is a 1 or a 14.
Right. Okay.
And it's 5-suited deck.
5-suited deck.
Yeah.
And the best thing about it is that there's a game box that this all comes in. You put it in the center of the board.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, the center of the handkerchief, essentially.
The cloth board.
The cloth board, yeah. And it orients the game
Yes.
to a specific season of the year. And so you think you're playing in winter, right? And winter is facing you. You're going to put a card down there. And somebody else plays a card, and suddenly it turns, and now it's spring. And that means the whole set of things that you were going to set in motion is a disaster.
So what you're saying is that Illimat is a set collection game.
It's a set collection game. You collect the seasons.
In which you're trying to collect cards out of seasons and fields on the board, and those change the rules as you play. Is that what
is
you're
very
saying,
true.
Mike? Okay.
That's very true.
That's what I heard.
That's what I would have
thought.
said if I could have delivered it as well as you did.
I've said it a lot today.
I see. So yeah, Illimat.
It's such a strange game that, like, when you look at it, you're just like, is someone summoning something? Did I find that in my grandfather's attic? Was he part of a secret
Have you
society?
ever considered making the box a little bigger?
The thing is, in the game, you turn it, and you know what really people hate?
Why do they?
They hate opening up a box and seeing a whole bunch of empty space. It is
Yeah.
like the most disappointing thing ever.
But they never get a chance to open that box if it isn't huge in the store. We're joking because we've got a distributor who told her this box needs to be bigger
I know,
or
I
else
know.
I can't
Yeah.
sell it.
But
Yeah,
it's a
no.
component of the game in which you have to turn it, and
Yeah, I
so
know.
if
It's
it's
like
too big,
it's a game
it
piece.
throws
You
everything
can't just
else.
blow it up for no
Yeah.
reason.
Have you considered maybe this chessboard should be 9 by 9 because it doesn't have enough kings on it?
I want to play it on an 8-foot table
Yeah.
minimum.
And-
I want a handkerchief that weighs 10 pounds.
And I think that's the
A
great
carpet
thing.
you unroll, yeah.
So I have
I
this.
want to live on that game.
So this little tiny company, it's literally 2 people,
Yes.
2 Together Studios, and we make stuff that would probably not fly in a really big company.
No.
And so we have a lot of creative license to make something that is definitely different, and then we try to find our audience out there in the big wide world, and it's really exciting time for games that we can do that.
And if a retailer doesn't like it, he can suck it. Is that the idea?
No, I
Joining
think-
us now is Steve Ellis.
Who was, in fact, that very retailer.
Who said suck it?
No. I should.
No, I mean, but it's on us to help retailers and have shelf
Whatever.
talkers and different things that help
Don't
them
defend
do
them.
I have a shelf talker that gives incorrect measurements for the box.
Yeah, there you go. It's 9 by 9 feet.
It's huge. Trust me.
Oh,
we
this
should
box is
introduce.
amazing.
Before we go any further, we should introduce the second Ellis Deux,
No
of the
relation.
Portland area.
No
Not
relation.
from Portland, however.
Yeah,
This
right.
has already been corrected.
Yes, no relation.
No
We
relation.
get asked all the time.
Yeah, well,
This is
you
true.
kind of look like twins.
This
It's
happens,
true.
yes.
It's the glasses.
It's a glasses
It's
thing.
true.
I just
You're
can't
both
tell
wearing the same
Portlanders
headset,
apart.
Yes.
right? Like, I mean,
I get that a lot
Yeah.
when I'm wearing that same headset
exactly.
on the street.
Steve Ellis from Rainy Day Games, Oni Games as well.
Correct.
So let's talk about both those things. So you own a game store in the Portland area,
I do.
a fine game store called Rainy Day Games, and from that you have launched a game design business that is taking the world by storm.
Well, we'll see about that. But yeah, the first Oni Games product, or I guess the second Oni Games product, was actually done with Keith Baker
Yes.
and Together Studios. So we did kind of a joint project. We did the Scott Pilgrim card game, and so that was kind of the initial launch of that relationship.
Can I tell you a secret about this?
Sure.
It is such a Keith Baker thing that I've actually never even played that game.
Are you related to Keith in some way?
Yes, we are partners in our business.
Oh, I see. Okay, just thought I'd check. Just thought I'd
So
check.
it's their business.
Once again, no relation.
No relation. Well, why would it be? His
Except
name's
with race
Baker.
and
Right.
No, sorry.
But yeah, so Oni Games kind of started to turn some of the Oni properties, Scott Pilgrim among them, into games, right? With kind of the goal of doing games that are very thematic and very true to the universe. So the one we launched here at Origins with Renegade Games, our kind of publishing partner, was the T-Dragon Society card game, which is based on the book by Katie O'Neill, The T-Dragon Society. And that one is, we very specifically targeted the audience that the book enjoys, right? So we're going for families and kind of young adults, and a very friendly game that kind of flows and follows the storyline. So it's got a very kind of thematic element where you take care of some T-Dragons. Each person has their own little T-Dragon they care for. They're very mischievous creatures, kind of like cats. They're going to annoy you and bother you as you try to help take care of them. But the goal is to kind of
gently bat the cards off the table.
gently bat the cards off the table, things like that. So, but no, in general, it's kind of like a little push your luck, extra light deck building game where no one has a hand. All the cards are face up on the table. Your turn is simple. You draw a card or acquire a card. So it's very straightforward. It flows nicely. You play through the 4 seasons of the year, following the theme of the book.
Yeah. I like seasons games. It's a
There's
genre.
another thing we have in common.
Two
so that's
seasons
great.
games.
Well, no, you have yet another thing in common because cats.
It's true.
That's true.
Tell
Yes.
us about Action Cats.
Action Cats, I like. So Action Cats is a storytelling game. You're trying to reveal the secret life story of a cat. And it comes with 174 pictures of cats on one side. On the other side of each card is 2 story props. So you combine cards together to come up with a secret life story. You take turns being the judge. The judge awards the best story, and
You know what? You know what bothers me about that description?
Oh.
I have never met a cat that was any good at being judged.
They do the judging, Mike.
That's their job.
Exactly.
They
That's
just
their-
silently judge you
That's
all the
right,
time.
that's
They
right.
never stop judging.
Now my dog always feels like he's being judged.
Why didn't I use that on the box?
Exactly.
Action Cats never stop judging.
Never stop judging, yeah.
Your cat is either plotting to kill you or you are dead.
You are dead.
Yeah.
That's the only reason your cat is not planning to kill you, because he's planning to eat you.
Mine spent a lot of time running from the dog, actually.
Yeah. It's really great. Another family game. So Action Cats is a storytelling game, but unlike many storytelling games on the market, it is you can add to your story and embellish it any way you want, but it's also all the humor in it is about for 9 and up. So It's something that it's a multi-generational game.
It has kind of a small box.
Yeah, it's a little bit. That's the one downside I see.
It's a small box.
I made you a smaller box. I hope you're happy.
There you go.
He was actually asking me for a smaller box. They just can't make up their
No,
mind.
but,
It's like, here's the key. Whatever box size you make
It's the
isn't
wrong
quite
size.
right.
It's the wrong size.
exactly right.
I don't know. I made the Pathfinder Adventure card game, and that has actually killed people falling from ceilings. So I think it's about right.
It's about the right size.
It's about the right size.
I would ask a follow-up question on that, but maybe not.
Maybe not.
Either the Pathfinder Adventure card game box is plotting to kill you,
Yes.
or you're already dead.
Oh, you're right.
It's just always silently judging you.
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, that's mutual.
You are both from the Portland area.
We
Is
are.
there a Portland area game designer scene? Are you it?
So there is some.
Yes.
I think there's several meetups across town. I actually host one twice a month at my store. So a lot of Portland designers come out to the store. It's called Fresh Games. And so it's just a venue for designers to show up, hang out, play each other's games, play test, give kind of honest feedback. And I've actually got a fair number of non-game designers that like to show up and just kind of be part of that process. So that's become really fun over the last year or two.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I think that Portland is very much a comic book town.
Yes, very much.
And so it's actually nice sometimes to just be around people who are making other things and
Right.
be inspired.
You also have
obviously, Oni Press has been
Right.
inspired by games and vice versa. So it's
fair number of indie rock musicians.
yes,
as
and
well.
they sometimes ask you to make games for them.
Yeah, I guess we just skipped right over.
Well,
the
this is what
possibly,
happens.
That's really funny.
I was
We
listening
talked
to
about Illimat. We talked about Illimat for like 5 minutes and never once mentioned the
Well, here's the
Decemberists.
thing. We didn't talk about Illimat. This,
She's not wrong.
I know.
She's not wrong.
I was listening to your eloquent T-Dragon Society explanation. I'm like, oh, I should have just explained my own game, huh?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's what I was trying to get you to do.
and then I just kept on. I'm sorry, I'm just talking a lot today, and I'm just not like. Anyway, so Illimat is a game that is inspired by the music of the Decemberists, and we work with the Decemberist band.
I have never met a group of more famous people who thought I was the most famous person in the room.
Yeah.
Like, it was really terrifying.
Well, they travel on the road with a huge case of board games,
Yeah.
and they play backstage before every show, and they have this table for playing games, and John Kovalik has signed it, and anytime there's a game designer event, they were like, sign our table,
Yeah,
and it's just
exactly.
like this, it's very interesting.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And now I know what I'm doing on Thursday.
Signing tables?
Yeah.
Possibly, yeah. I was getting texts about it today. They're playing Seattle.
Oh, they're playing Seattle.
Yeah,
Oh, of course,
yeah.
yes. That's why we're here. So cool. Well, anything else either of you would like to share with our audience about things coming up or anything like that?
Yeah, we've got an RPG Phoenix Dawn Command, which is currently on Starter Kit.
It's real good.
So you can learn to play an RPG. It's a really
I don't know
great
what
show.
Starter Kit is.
Starter Kit is a show on Project Alpha, in which you not only watch people play an RPG, but they will tell you all about. They'll break every move down, so you can really understand. Okay, well, how does this work? How do you do combat in this game? How do you do resolve things? So, and we also have a really great program that we're running this month, where if you buy a copy of Phoenix Dawn Command, we are giving a copy away to an Armed Forces member that's deployed.
that's
So check out Project Alpha and Starter Kit, and you can have a free 60-day code to watch that with Phoenix.
That's super good. Steve?
All right, so I'm not allowed to make any announcements here.
We're all friends here and nobody's listening.
Yeah, exactly.
So I will say the T-Dragons releases at retail on June 27th.
Nice.
And then sometime later this summer, Oni will be making some announcements on a handful of other games for next year.
Okay.
Great.
And I will second that Phoenix Dawn Command is fantastic.
Yeah, no,
so if you haven't tried it, it's a really cool card-based RPG.
It's also sold at Rainy Day Games in Hillsboro, Oregon.
Near Portland, Oregon.
Near Portland.
Outside of Portland, Oregon.
Just outside.
Kept directly outside of Portland, Oregon
No,
for a reason.
It is a fine store.
It is.
Phoenix Dawn Command is just a really cool, unique experience.
Yeah.
So it's a great kind of storytelling RPG thing in card form, which is, I think, pretty unique.
Yeah.
So, and the artwork's fantastic.
It's real good. It's real good.
Also, when you die in Phoenix Dawn Command, you level up. So
Yeah. Oh, that's
It's a
perfect.
very
Dying's a good move in that game.
Yes, it's a
Goodness.
good thing.
All right. Well, thank you, Ellis's.
you.
It was no relation.
Unrelated Ellis's.
Unrelated Ellis's, and also a very good band.
Uh,
And so we will see you guys around the
All
convention.
right, thank you very
Sounds
much.
good. Thank you so much.
Some friends of ours, Paul and I did a game called Pairs a few years ago.
Yes.
And some friends of ours did a test market to see if they could go into a store and promote the game and
Right.
sell a lot more than they usually sell.
Right.
So they went to Rainy Day Games in Portland and did their test market and their promotion and found that it really didn't compare favorably to the prior weekend. Because what they didn't know was that weekend Paul and I were in the same store doing the same thing. No, we can't really get better numbers than
yes,
James
that's
and
right.
Paul, so we shouldn't do this project. at
No,
all.
That's right.
No, they're not even trying.
No.
Not anymore.
They should have been able to outdo us easily.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, two
Luminaries.
raconteurs have joined us.
You can't have Rock on Tour without Con.
Or on tour.
Or on tour.
Or contours.
The Raconteur on tour. Or Kenneth Hite.
With our new
In a
album,
rack.
Contours. Hey, it is Gil Hova
Hello.
and Kenneth Hite,
Hey.
two gentlemen of the world.
Yes. We are not from another world. Do not listen to the rumors
Part
or
of the
the
world.
so-called toxicology screen.
Two gentlemen of this
Alleged
world.
DNA scan.
Of
Proves
some
nothing.
world. Yeah, those are only 99% positive.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, lots of times you get like astatine in them. That happens all the time.
Kenneth
It's,
Hite.
it's, it's a radioactive
That's where you
element.
went,
It's yeah,
astatine?
it's a radioactive element.
Right, but I mean, other people might say a radio.
Radon.
That's why you. Oh well, you should have those on your show. Oh, I believe you have been.
I'm sorry. Did you say I believe you're a has-been? That's what I heard.
Well, then why would I change that?
Indeed.
I'm not going to question your truth.
No.
If you believe that I said you're a has-been, then that must have been what I said.
That's making a shoe that fits.
I live
Yes.
me.
I'm a cobbler to Mike's insecurities.
Indeed. Many people have helped.
Yes.
Mike, you're an is now. You can take it from me.
Indeed. I appreciate that, Gil. I know you're on my side.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know you're on this side.
way to suck up to Mike Selinker.
It works pretty well on this show.
Yeah, I know, right?
Gil,
You know.
It's a
Gil,
really
just-
good move.
just
Another
for
drink
me,
for
just-
Gil. Another, bring it on.
Just try to read the room, Gil.
So you're both at Origins.
Yes, apparently.
Yes.
What have you been doing at Origins?
I've been selling games, and then after selling games, trying not to pass out.
Sure.
There must have been another step in there.
I
At
think,
least one.
yeah. So let's.
Well, with every game you buy of Gil's, you get a pint of his blood.
Nice. Those would definitely be your
I mean,
games.
first of all, that is a good deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
actually.
try not to give away too many of my secrets here.
It's not a secret. I mean, you got a sign and everything.
But only if you come down to Origins.
Yeah, no,
Only
it's,
Origins.
yeah,
One convention
Yeah,
only.
he ended the mail order plan after there was a lot of bitching and moaning from the FDA and the UPS guy.
I mean, it's mostly sanitary at this point.
That's
Yeah.
nice to hear.
Well,
That's
you can't,
my- that's-
you can't
that's what
ship
I
it
like.
without putting the right size
Gil-
holes in the package.
That's
Right.
right.
Gil Hova.
Unless you put some live scorpions with it.
Gil Hova, mostly sanitary.
Mostly sanitary.
All right. So let's talk about some of those games.
Sure, yes.
You got Wordsy. I know you
Yes.
got that there.
Yeah, Wordsy, a word game that rewards longer words. So that one's been doing really, really well. James, what?
Why would you do that? I always thought I was perfect.
Rewards for longer words, you say?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
This
yes.
could change the whole
The
situation.
whole word game scenario.
Yes.
Yes. So,
Let the man dream.
so that is
Man.
so that's Wordsy, and that's been doing really well. And I also have the Networks, which is a game where you're a TV network executive.
Right.
Start the game with a little bit of cash and 3 terrible TV shows, trying to get the most viewers over 5 seasons.
That's super fun.
Yep.
There you go.
And I've got an expansion for it that is Teletime, which replaces all the shows from the base game with British TV shows.
Oh, nice.
Even worse shows.
Yes. he mentioned they were British.
Yes.
I think we got that.
I think we just lost England.
No,
Did we ever have England?
At best, England is just tuning in.
Right. and England was lost long ago.
Yeah, they Brexited out.
You can't be blaming us.
Yeah. Ken, what have you been showing off or doing?
I've been showing off Fall of Delta Green.
Yeah,
which
we
dropped
talked to
at
Kat,
the show.
We talked to Kat Tobin. It sounded really awesome.
Well,
But tell us
Cat
more.
does sound awesome, but also the game is awesome.
Yes, tell us more about what it is. Because she barely did.
Fall of Delta, did she really? That's odd. Fall of Delta Green.
She mostly just said how awesome you were.
Well, I guess that's the takeaway, really.
That's really the takeaway.
It's a gumshoe system, standalone core game in which you play agents of Delta Green, the government program that fights the Cthulhu mythos, while it's still a government program in the 1960s.
Oh yeah,
Because
before
of course it's
before it gets-
disbanded
yeah.
in 1970 after it accidentally invades Cambodia, like you do.
You know.
You know. It was everyone was doing that in 1970.
Yeah, it's a thing.
You know, the Viet Cong, Delta Green, Nixon. I mean, come on.
Himself, just
Right.
by himself.
Right, yes,
Yeah, he just
exactly.
strapped on a rocket
Him
launcher.
personally did it.
Yeah.
Got in this giant Mecha Nixon,
Mecha Nixon.
exoskeleton.
Also,
and
we
just started
need
getting
Mecha
in.
Nixon.
We all need Mecha Nixon. I mean, more than that, more than ever, really.
Indeed. Now, maybe we got Mecha Nixon.
No, you dream.
I know. All right. Anyway, no politics.
No,
rules.
yes. No. So you play Delta Green Agents. It's set in the 1960s. It's an adaptation of the Delta Green role-playing game that is also new from Arc Dream, and therefore it has to be more brutally lethal and more depressing and horrible because it's adapting a game done by Dennis Detwiller and Greg Stolze.
No, that game.
Right. Yes.
That game, I have to say, maybe the most delightful, depressing game of all time.
Oh yes. No,
I mean,
it's
I mean that as a sincere compliment.
Yeah. Dennis and Greg have never found something they didn't want to drain the fun out of and sell like Gil Hova's blood to overseas millionaires.
It's very true.
Yeah.
It's very true.
It's a good tactic.
Yeah.
It works. It works.
It works. So the Fall of Delta Green is Gumshoe, like Trail of Cthulhu, like Knights of Black Agents, like all the other games that Pelgrane does, the main ones. And it is, you go through, you sort of build it with templates. You take your military service and you put on top of that whatever agency of the government you supposedly work for. And then that's your character. And then you go out and get brutalized by the Cthulhu mythos because, of course, you don't understand it.
What are you doing in Cambodia?
For God's sake, the U.S. government didn't understand anything it was fighting in the real 1960s, so
Right.
why would Cthulhu be any different?
That's almost an advantage at that point.
Right, yeah. I mean, they had 5 simple plans. They were going to go to the moon. They were going to cure cancer. They were going to cure poverty. They were going to end racism. They were going to win the war in Vietnam.
Worked perfectly.
So what are the odds that you can just add Defeat Cthulhu to that to-do list?
Well, let's be clear. They didn't fail more.
Right. No. The failure is equally distributed across.
Yeah. It's,
And
a
in
larger
way,
number of units.
And in a way, given that the world did not quite end in 1970,
No.
it probably, number 2 on the list.
Counted as a win.
Right.
Counted as a win.
Right.
I
Yep.
mean, it's entirely possible we are living in that timeline right now, and we did defeat Cthulhu, but at the expense of losing everything else.
That makes so much more sense.
You can only come to
You
that
win
after
the secret
losing.
objective and lose all the public objectives.
It took me
Right.
4 pints of blood to figure that one out.
Yep. Nixon's like, no. I got the secret card.
Well, he had the betrayer card too. Just
Right, yeah. He also had a trader card. He had a lot of trader
A lot
cards.
of cards.
A lot of them.
Missing about 18 and a half of them. So, that's very cool. Are you? What are you working on now?
Well, I have just wrapped the design work on, and the writing of the design work on Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition, on which I was the lead designer.
So it's going to be great.
Yes.
I have no doubt.
That was my goal.
Yeah. No, I
checked it off.
Be great. I had that on a post-it note and then checked it. Exactly.
It's nice to have simple objectives in a project.
Yeah,
like
well,
that.
that's the key, right? Otherwise, it gets away from you.
Yeah.
Right. And when every new decision comes along, you can think, does this support the goal of being great?
Well, we had a long talk. It's like, hey, guys, should we be terrible and mediocre? And they were like, nope, I don't think so.
we did that last time.
We did that in third.
We're not going to do that. We're going to move past. We want to do the be great thing.
All
You guys are
right.
like, well, all right.
We might have to drop a couple of these other check marks.
Let's be clear. Sometimes a
We
slogan
may
like that.
not end poverty.
Sometimes a slogan like that is all you need.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
going to
what
go
I've
with
learned.
do the be great thing. That sounds like an objective that was slightly massaged by committee.
Maybe.
Could
Maybe it
fit
was.
on a hat.
Right.
Do the be great thing.
Yeah, that's right.
What I like about it is how quantifiable it is. Great, excellent. Oh yeah, I mean you can
Yeah.
tell. Is it
That's
excellent?
No,
or is
not
it great?
excellent.
That's not
no,
that was
it's
not
great.
the goal.
Well,
No,
the
that's what you
lesson,
missed it.
lesson of Vampire is that you can quantify everything.
Yes.
It's all in dots. It's like, how good is your hunting ground? There's a number of dots for that. How influential are you in mortal politics? Dots for that.
Right.
Whatever it is, it's all in dots. and
How
then the
good is your
dots
5th edition?
swip around.
Dots.
Many dots. Many
Lots
dots.
of dots.
Lots of dots. All the dots. So dots.
Sounds good.
And so that was great fun, and that's now in layout and being printed, and things that the writer doesn't have to deal with. Thank God. Free League are doing our layout, so it's going to look phenomenal.
That's gonna be great.
Yep. And then that'll be dropping at Gen Con, so I will be a busy boy. One hopes signing lots and lots of books.
One would think. Gil, what are you working on now?
I am currently working on getting Bad Medicine, my first self-published game, back in print. I had a successful Kickstarter for that a little while ago, a couple of months ago, and that's going to be out around November. That's a game where you're all pharmaceutical companies coming up with horrible drugs.
Nice.
And
sounds like that would fit in neatly with Bad Doctor.
That's
true. Like, get those two games.
The Bad Doctor, Bad Medicine expansion.
Yeah, no, Bad Doctor is Seth Hyatt's new game where you're all terrible physicians in a hospital.
Well, the thing is, once you say what's on television in the hospital, now you're back around the networks.
Exactly, yeah. Now
this can be the extended Bad Things cinematic universe.
Right. All we do is things that are bad.
Yes, that's what all games are about.
That's right.
Things that are bad, vampirism,
Yeah.
the U.S. government.
Yeah.
I still think that's the universe we're in now.
Yeah.
It's very clear.
Hasn't changed. And I'm also working on High Rise, which is my game that's going to be on Kickstarter probably in February. And that's a strategy game where you're building a city and you have to kind of work with people much more powerful and wealthy than you.
And you're the Ballardian architect on the top floor as the lower floors descend into madness. No? All right.
Wow,
No, I want to play that game.
Look out for my next game called Crash.
Nice. Well, gentlemen, we are creeping up on the 11 o'clock hour.
And whose fault is that?
Oh, very clear.
Yeah.
So
It's Mike's, for those who didn't know.
No, if anybody had any reason to doubt. Thank you both for being on our show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Delightful, as always.
Oh, we love having you, as you
I know.
So
that's why you saved me for last.
That's why we did. We wouldn't want anything you said to be heard by anybody who is only mildly interested in us.
That's right. Yes.
And nobody can follow you. So.
That's true. I've been having a lot of trouble doing that.
Absolutely. Yes, you've been mystified this whole segment.
Just talk a little slower and use fewer of those big words.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Well, I'll try.
Thank you both.
I know that you try for me.
Thank you both. No, thank you both. Thank you both.
Thank you, Mike.
No, thank you both.
No.
Thanks for
Get out.
Thanks for having been here.
I'm only leaving once Ken does.
We'll have been here soon.
Should the door, should it hit us somewhere on the way out?
I would really like that.
Right. Okay.
Try to avoid that.
Goodbye.
Well, now I was told to speak slow.
I'm turning my head this direction so that if I don't look them in the eye, they might leave.
The camera cuts away.
So we had just
Slowly
a lot
return.
of guests tonight.
We did.
That is.
Don't look at me. I don't
Is that a
arrange that.
record? That has to be a record.
I don't know.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but our
We'll have to check
staff.
it against our
Our staff who thought that they were signing up for a podcast that ended at 10:30. I mean, it's 10:30 somewhere.
No, actually, it's
actually. So there's some of them half time zones in the Pacific. So I want to thank everybody. I want to thank you guys for making another wonderful podcast with us.
We do our best every
We
time.
do. We got the WCBE crew, Dan, Catherine, Allison, and Heather helping us out. Big Bar on 2 at the Hyatt. Trevor handling the door, making sure those guests come
And making sure it doesn't hit our guests on the way out.
That's right.
That's right. Trevor not hitting our guests in the ass on the way out.
That's very. Don't let the Trevor hit you on the way out. That's pretty good. I like it. And we're going to be looking forward to day 3 of Origins
Tomorrow, I mean, just as a spoiler, we'll probably know something about the Origins of
We
Origins
will.
time.
Yeah, there'll probably be some people with statues here, I imagine.
That would be fun.
We'll
Yeah.
line up all those winners.
Yeah, it'd be good. And steal their statues.
I just need one.
That's right. You just need one to take all the rest.
I bought a shelf that holds 10.
Yeah, that's nice. How
So
many you
really,
got?
I need 10.
You need 10. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Right.